All right, so here, let's get going with this. Goldie, I need to roll initiative.
Okay. Hey. So wait. And it's +3 my initiative, so 15.
15.
Hmm.
All right, hold on one second. My PDFs are loading in really slowly here. It's the
And I
one.
had bird. What's the bird's name? What's your bird's name, Yukalia?
Fandel. You have
Fendel.
Fandel with you.
Fendel. Yeah,
Yeah,
Fendel
you do.
foray. That's what it was.
All right, so
Yeah,
you
as
rolled a
soon as
12.
stuff happens.
He rolled a 12. No, I rolled a
All
32.
right, John a leaping lunges at you.
Probably gonna bloody scream. Doesn't hit.
Hold on. I gotta see what his dex
It's
bonus
probably a
is.
modifier.
There
Has
we
to be
go.
an
There
8.
he is. Has to be a if yeah AC of 15.
My yes.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, he does not have a +8.
I have an armored defense, which is plus my dex and charisma, so I get
All
15.
right. So, um, you see suddenly this almost feral looking man. He still has a nasty gash on his head. The blood kind of seeping through the bandages that are haphazardly kind of placed there and starting to peel off. He's got a snarl on his face and he's got a nasty looking dagger that he's lunging at you with. He stabs at you, and as he swings over your head, this fucking little hobbits, too damn short. Um, Go ahead and what would you like to do now as he misses?
As everyone told me to run. However, if I run, he's gonna escape. So I had my short sword out, or I was holding it at least.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna attack him at the knees. So my intention will be not to kill him. I wanna try to incapacitate him.
Okay.
Oh, jeez. 13 to hit.
13. At 13 is going to hit, and you do 8 points of damage to him.
Nice.
Nice. So you slash back at him as he lunges towards you and kind of cut through his ribs, leaving a nasty, deep wound there. And he snarls at you and says, "Little shit." And he looks like he wants to wring your neck. Um, Starkiller, can I have you make a perception check for me, please?
I'm probably gonna be yelling. Like,
Okay, yelling? Okay, make it with advantage then, please.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah, Goldie
Fandel
was
was
not gonna be
flying
quiet.
back to you.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just going to take your first roll there. Um, so that would be an 11 plus 4, 15. That's good enough. Um, you see this commotion at the bottom of the hill from where you are. You have the opportunity to do something if you like. You muted, I think.
Sorry. um, so I can see this larger person attacking this hobbit,
Yep.
and I can tell that that's definitely a hobbit being attacked.
Yes.
I will shoot an arrow at him
All right.
as everybody hears a twang of a great bow from the shadows. Oh, I don't know why that did advantage. No, it didn't. Never
Nope,
mind.
no, it's just an 11. Yeah, John Leaping, you get advantage. So just roll another d20
Okay,
because you are
gotcha.
shooting from a hidden position. All right, so we'll take
Here
the
we go
11.
again. Just like the combat we did before. Roll a 20 for the perception and one for everything else.
Um, unfortunately, 11 is not going to hit. And
Yeah.
Goldie, you just see this arrow just come whizzing past the two of you and kick up dirt nearby.
And I will yell out, Orthel, there's a human attacking the hobbit at the bottom of the hill.
All right. This is where I'm going to have everyone roll for initiative.
Do I roll again or not?
No, it would roll, and I'll just adjust you to what you initially rolled.
I wish when they did initiative rolls, you could like the players could see what the initiative numbers were.
Yep.
Because I don't know, I
I
like
don't-
being able to see it.
I don't know if I've rolled. I clicked on the icon that popped up, but nothing
Yeah,
happened. So.
If you go
Let
to
me see.
tactical mode and then you select encounter, if you rolled initiative, you will show up
Oh,
on the encounter roll.
thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
No, you're good. So I'm just moving Goldie up a bit. So, okay, John O'Leaping goes first. So he lunged at you, missed you. You slashed at him, wounded him deeply, and the arrow goes flying past him. You see John O'Leaping just glance up quickly at the top of the hill, see your friends there, Goldie. He sees another figure step out from behind one of the stones with a great bow, and says, "Oh, fuck this!" And he just starts running. And you can have an opportunity attack if you like, Goldie.
Can I use the opportunity attack to try to grapple him, or does it have to be?
Nope, you
Well,
can. That's an attack. So that'd be an athletics check. A hobbit trying to grapple a.
You got this.
That's
Grab
that's
his ankle.
He
Hey,
just
I don't
hold
know.
on
You're
to
gonna
him.
have to drag me.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever had kids,
I'm
but yeah,
going.
little kid grabbing your leg. Oh,
No, I think I'm gonna try to attack.
Okay.
Yeah. Try to
Yeah.
like nick him again at the knees just to buckle him down.
Okay.
See if it works.
Hamstring him, Goldie.
Yeah, yes. He stays still.
Oh,
Ooh, nice.
That's a
Nice.
hit for 8 points of damage. Remind me again, is this are you trying to kill him or are you just trying to just wound
No.
like non-lethal?
Just
All right.
just knock him down. Yeah.
All right. So
Hard enough that he doesn't run.
as he's a little off balance after taking that swing at you and getting cut in the ribs from your blow, he's staggering forward and he's looking like he's gonna take off. You get one last good smack in. You hit him in the back of the head with your sword, the blunt part of your sword, and he just falls like a rock, unconscious on the road.
Awesome.
I'm gonna stand on him and I'm gonna say, I told you not to move and to help us. And I'm just gonna sit on his back.
All right, I'm gonna stop initiative there since combat was over very quickly.
Goldie's taking a picture out of Eucalio's book, ending it fast.
Goldie
Yep.
feeling proud right now. After being told that she couldn't do it, she's like, I am gonna demonstrate to all these tall people that I can do it. And I think I'm just like gonna sit on him and yell, we're good, just take your time, just don't worry about it. It's all good.
You see the older lady who has introduced herself as Orathel. Eucalio, please make an old lord check for me, please.
All right. Oh Lord. Oh, come on.
All right.
10.
Aside from the insignia that a brooch or that she wears, indicating the Star of Elendil, that she's a ranger. But she looks past all of you down the hill towards Goldie, who's sitting now on the back of John Leaping.
She's not leaping anymore.
He smiles and says, "Thank you for your service." Um, one moment. She looks back over her shoulder towards you. A moonstalker. Would you mind? As she points down towards John Leaping's still body on the road.
I'll bow my head, not say anything, sling my bow, and head down there. And I don't know if I have a rope.
All right. As you step out from behind the stone and out of the shadows into the light of the campfire, can you please describe your character?
Sure. Out of the shadows, a weathered, unkept, 6'6" human steps out in greens, blacks, and browns that look weather beaten and worn. He weighs about 275. He has steel gray eyes and long black hair and a scruff of a beard. And he has very tanned skin with a great bow on his in a quiver and a backpack on his back with a long sword and a dagger on his waist. And he has a shield slung over his backpack.
All right. And it doesn't take much to realize that this individual is the Ranger of the North as well.
And I do not have a rope, but I will go down, and if he's got a belt or some kind of a rope holding his pants up, I'll take it off and bind his hands with it, and to his ankles as well, hog tying him.
All right. His pants are being held up by a rope, so you can certainly use that. His pants fall down, but he's now bound.
Yeah.
What do you do with the nasty knife that he attacked Goldie with?
I will
Goldie,
pick that.
actually, you have
Oh,
you have
sorry.
the opportunity to do something first with that
Yeah.
knife if you like.
Oh, I would have put the knife before I sat on him. Put the knife as far away as possible, like not have it on myself, because I know that if he tries to grab me, I'm just a tiny hobby with zero strength. Um,
Okay.
but
So,
as he comes over, Goldie will just look up. Hmm. Well, you look like a friend. Hey there.
Hello, little one. If you would move yourself from this gentleman's back, I will secure him.
Go ahead. I He's still alive. I didn't want to kill him. We've had problems with that in the past, so he's hopefully fine. I don't know.
I'll hog tie him and then flip him over so he's on his side instead of on his face.
yeah,
And
you just
If
hear a
he were,
low moan come out from him. He's still alive.
it's
wherever he's wounded at, I'll rip off a piece of his shirt or cloak or whatever and bandage his wound with it.
All right. So while
And I'll pick up the wicked dagger and I'll put it in my belt.
yeah. I'll show it and be like,
okay.
And I'll give it to Orthel when I get back up to the top of the hill later. But then I'll pick this guy up after he's hogtied and take him up to the top of the hill.
All right. So while Moonstalker's at the bottom of the hill taking care of John Leaping,
Well, I guess I should have
rest.
said I'm actually pretty muscular looking as well. Sorry, I left that part
All
out.
right. Yeah. Big guy.
Yeah, big
He
guy.
works out.
Linebacker.
And the rest of you at the top of the hill with Orthel. She looks at you now and says, "Seems as though you have a story to tell. I'm curious to know how a man such as John Leaping is in your company."
Well, actually, we were doing a favor on behalf of the people of um, Greymore by a bit of a prisoner exchange. Um, they had caught him and said that he had committed some crimes in the village and they wanted to get rid of him. But the village leader said that one of their own was being kept by the um, the leader of Tharbad and that we could make an exchange. We didn't know that he was your agent until you said so.
So you are to trade him, if I understand you correctly here.
That was the intent, but if that doesn't work for what you're doing, we still,
Indeed.
or at least I still feel rather obligated to um, free their villager friend. Quick question. Are the assassins up here with us or are they down below? I
Yeah,
forget.
they're with you. They're with you.
Okay.
They're just kind of standing in the background. They didn't really intervene, but they're kind of standing kind of off to one side. They
Yeah. I
quietly.
just know they're not going to be happy with me being like, I want to help this guy.
Zurich is right next to Yukaliel. Like I'm with her. I say what she says.
Hmm. I'm assuming at this point, Fandel probably like lands on my shoulders, like, "Hey, she was in danger, but she's fine now."
Yeah, you just see all this raven land on Eucalip's shoulder. Danger, danger. A little late, but it's the thought that counts.
Yep.
Um, so Orth Orthel is just gonna. You can see her lost in thought as she watches Moonstalker bind and start bringing John a leaping up. It says, "We have much to discuss. Please join my fire."
Of course.
You step into the ring, into the light of a campfire. Um, Goldie, do you follow Moonstalker to the top of the hill?
Yeah, now that John is being brought up, because the only reason why I was sitting down there was like in case he wanted to escape. But
Right.
if we're all going, we're all going. Now going. I'll try to join to Turk's side. I'll just let a hobbit stay together. And just thinking that I was trying to talk to Fandel before, and be like, what did I say that made him run away or fly away, not remember, or thinking that it was me that asked him to go. Scott is just so excited about talking to the bird.
When Goldie moves up, I'm going to give her a high five.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Zurik's gonna give her a little fist bump.
I am gonna say when I get so okay, he's alive, he's fine, we'll get him back. I didn't wanna. He wanted to run away. I didn't want him to run away because the town needs him. It's all so complicated around here, but he's fine. He was not talking, but he was making a sound. We're good. I hope.
Orthel, as soon as you enter the ring of stone, bows to you, Goldie, and says,
Hi.
"I am in your debt, and who might you be?"
Oh, my name is Goldie Glendower. I don't think anyone's in my debt. I was just trying. I was on watch, and I wanted to just do a good job.
Hobbits never cease to amaze me. I am Orthel, at your service, and she gives you a deep bow.
Uh,
Nice to meet you.
I'll deposit the ruffian and take the dagger out of my belt and hand it hilt first to Orthel and say he had this on him.
She holds the nasty looking dagger and just tucks it into her belt. And as she does so, the rest of you see also tucked into her belt another scabbard of a very ornate nature with a bone hilt. Very nice looking dagger. Mhm.
Quick question. Um, would I have seen whether the dagger that Leaping was carrying was it similar to what I saw the Dunlendings carrying?
No, this was just a crappy little dagger.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Um, I will need Moonstalker to give me another perception check when you have a chance, please.
I was talking to my wife for a second. What was that?
No worries. A perception check for me, please, as
Perception.
you
Okay.
re-enter the fire with John and deposit John O'Leaping. All right. So you see the company, everyone there. I'm going to ask each of you to quickly describe yourselves. Uh, starting, I'll start at the bottom this time and ask Zurich, what do you look like? Can you describe yourself to
I probably
Stock?
look like crap after traveling all this cross country, but he has. I upgraded my armor at the dwarven boondoggle, or the elven boondoggle. So I'm wearing a mail hauberk, probably with some garish elven um, filigree on it, which is he finds rather annoying. I have a true Dwarf of the Blue Mountains shield from my father. I have a battle axe from my father, so I'm currently equipped with both of those. And on top of all that, I have like a slate blue cloak kind of draped over my shoulders. My braided beard is probably a little unkempt at this point, and my forehead is probably sunburned, um, which is causing my forehead tattoos to fade. That's what Zurich looks like.
Dwarf. All right. Um, Icaliel.
So, Eucaliel, like any elf, doesn't really look that worse for wear, even if she has been traveling rough country for a while. Long black wavy hair, uh, like again, also gray eyes. Um, she wears. She's not wearing armor, but her clothes is like dark colored clothes, like she's used to, hiding in the woods, but it's all like cloth, ease of movement type stuff. And she's got this uh uh one of those like scroll case things on her back that's got the documents in it, big old raven sitting on her shoulder. She's got a bow, and just like a little dagger on her belt.
Cool.
She's
Thank you
tall,
very
but
much.
not as tall as Moonstalker.
He's a bit of a giant.
Yeah.
All right, Turk.
So yes, I gave a little bit of description earlier, but Turk is, as far as hobbits go, he's kind of on the tall side. Um, Pretty stout. So he's built and sturdy. He's got these really quite bushy mutton chops, so you don't see that on most hobbit families. Um, he also wears a handmade out of reeds, sort of riverside reeds. He's got like a hat that he makes out of that, a sun hat. So if you want one, let him know. He'll make one for you. Keep the sun out of your eyes. Keep yourself from getting tattoos that fade. Just FYI. And he's trying out this new bow that he just got up at Rivendell. He's not too sure how to carry it, but Khalil is helping him out with that. So other than that, he has a little short sword beside him, and of course backpack with a whole bunch of stuff in it.
Cool. Yeah, I can just imagine Zurich with a straw hat. That'd be kind of
It
cool.
would help keep the sun off my forehead.
Yeah. And Goldie.
So Goldie, because we've been traveling and she fell in the river the day before, um, her hair is probably a little not too, not doing good, not doing good. She does have purple hair, and she's the most colorful little hobbit ever. Um, I forgot to say, but I would have asked at the to get like a dark cloak and just like cut it at the bottom, nothing fancy,
Sure. Yep. Not a problem.
just to cover the colors because she's very, very colorful. Like the skirt has a million pockets, always with snacks in them. Um, She does have pants underneath, so now her skirt's probably like hiked up. And she does have a corset and a short sword next to her, which is probably a dagger for the rest of people. And then um, backpack with things in it, mostly again snacks. She does like to snack in tense situations and happy situations and sad situations. We just snack. Um,
I didn't know that.
she's just a snack person. She just eats. There's meals, but then we just have to eat the whole thing. Um, but she does try to have. She has a friendly face, and she's like very trusting. So the moment you showed up, she was like, "Yep, friend." Looks like my dad we had with us. So she's like, "All right, we're having a new one, I guess." But yeah, she's just a happy little hobbit and colorful, trying to hide it. So the moment the cloak moves around, you will see like purples and oranges and flowers and things like this. She not now because she fell in the damn river. Um, but she usually tries to have like flowers in her hair, things like this.
Very
Just a
nice.
little bit contrast around here.
Yeah. And deadly apparently with a short sword. And these are the sisters, Anna, and where is Orla? Don't have a picture of Orla. What happened to her? That's weird. She disappeared. Maybe it's in this folder. Nope. Um, but two dark-haired women, very serious, stern type expressions on their face. They don't smile. Um, and you recognize them immediately as Dunlending. And let's see, maybe they're up here. Oh, yes, it would be here. 1 second.
I'll make sure I keep an eye on them.
Actually, as you look at one of them, Orla in particular, you swear you have seen her before. And then you recall that night over a month ago now,
The lady in the river.
the lady in the river. She does not recognize you though.
I look at Orthel and give her a look, and then glance at the other lady.
Orthel catches your glance. You know what? There it is. There she is.
Do I see all of these
Nod.
glances going back and forth?
And go ahead and make an insight check for me, please.
Okay.
You, Kelly. Yeah, you clock what's going on. You can clock that there's some recognition happening here.
All right. I won't say anything right now, but I maybe will talk to them later.
In the meantime, John Leaping is like still passed out, cold, kind of groaning every once in a while, and then his breathing comes a little more regular after being somewhat ragged before, and then you can start hearing him snoring as he's drifted off to sleep and recovering. And Orthel looks at him and then looks up at you and says, "What a strange company. And by the looks of it, you come by Revendell.
Yes, we have come from that way.
And what business do you have on the Great Road?"
We are traveling towards Isengard to deliver um, things requested by the great wizard Saruman.
Hmm. And you pass through Tharbad, and in the process, deliver John a leaping to Gurnow.
That was our intention. We were a little unsure about how to get the villager back to his village because we can't really afford to backtrack. We are on a tight schedule, but we were going to figure something out.
She pauses for a moment, and you can tell that she has entered some deep thought. And what do you know of Tharbad?
Ooh, what do I know of Tharbad?
Go ahead and make an old lore check.
Okay. Question. So the studies that I did and like the books that I brought about like regions in the area and stuff like that, would Tharbad be one of those regions that
Oh,
I
of
could have
course.
read about?
Tharbad is preeminent in terms of a landmark in
Okay.
this area.
Okay. Oh, come on.
So you'll have advantage. That's because
Okay.
you have your.
Like, wait a minute. These are my best rolls, guys. Insight and old lore.
This is a stressful situation, though. We're feeling the pressure here from
Yeah,
this
yeah.
this interrogation.
Don't
Um,
don't worry about it. Strength's my best stat, and I get to use it with my great bow, and I keep missing. So
um, all you know of Tharbad, and this is pretty much common knowledge, is that it's a dying city, and that is famous for the brigands and thieves that now inhabit it and plague this area. Um, Aside from that, you might have heard of a new captain in town, Captain Gurnow, but you don't really know much about him um, or the recent goings on in Tharbad. It's just kind of
Gotcha.
no one's really paid much attention to this city just because everyone knows it's dying.
Yeah. I'll share that. I'll share the information that I know.
She looks at you and says, I have other plans for the scoundrel as she looks towards John Leaping. I must get a message to someone in Tharbad, and this sorry excuse for a spy was my only way of having that done.
Do you have a description of what that someone looks like?
She pauses for a moment and says, I feel we should get to know one another more before I divulge any further information in that area.
I will explain why I asked. My friend here, and I point at my not cat shaped raven on my shoulder, my friend here is experienced in carrying messages, and I am able to communicate with him. If you have a description of the individual you need the message delivered to, I can ask him to try to find them and give them the message. That's all.
She looks at you, then looks at Vandale, and you can see the doubt clearly written on her face.
Do you need a test to believe what I'm saying?
I was thinking of something else.
That's fine.
I will send my apprentice, Moonstalker, with you into Tharbad. he will deliver the message in John a Leaping's stead. He
So we
knows
can still
who to
turn
look
him
for.
in.
Yes, this is unfortunately it was not what I was hoping for, but John Leaping has proven himself untrustworthy, and I doubt I can rely on him to deliver any more messages for me anyway. You can have John Leaping for your barter, and I will escort the villager back to Greymore.
Thank you. I I admit when I saw you, I was hoping that I could request that, but I know you said that you are guarding this area and I didn't want to take you away from your watch.
She turns to you, Moonstalker, and says, "You know where to find her."
I'm assuming I do.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, my lady.
She takes the dagger, the really nice one with the bone hilt, and gives it to you. This is for her. She will know what it means.
I'll bow my head and put it in my waistband.
Well, it seems we have a deal then. Up until this point, Anna and Orla have kind of been sitting at the edge of the firelight, just kind of watching the proceedings of what's been going on. And Anna steps forward and says, "This will not impede our journey on to Isengard. Our master will not tolerate any delay."
I don't think that it will. It seems like we've resolved what was going to take a while.
I look
And
at
the ranger,
Orthel. I'll look at Orthel. Cock my head towards this conversation.
and Orla Anna, sorry, continues and says, "Send the ranger on by himself. He's no concern to us. We have our own quests to complete. Do you need? We need not get ourselves involved in this matter. It was folly agreeing to bring that brigand with us in the first place."
If Orthel doesn't say anything, I'm going to turn and look at what was the other one's name? Orel?
Orla, Orla.
Orla. If it wasn't for this ranger, you wouldn't be here to talk today.
Orla kind of looks at you curiously, and then you can suddenly see recognition light in her eyes as her eyes widen a little. It was you. It was you two that facilitated my escape that night. At that, when she recognizes this, she immediately steps up and forward, throws back her cloak, pulls her stiletto out, and then bows and kneels and places it in both her hands and faces you. This, I owe you my life.
You owe me nothing. I was just doing what anyone should do and help protecting someone from maddened orcs.
Orla looks back at her sister, and they could be twins. They look so similar, and says, "Sister, the blood debt, a life for a life." And you can see Anna's face just kind of turn into a scowl, and she looks at you, Moonstalker, and says, "We owe you a blood debt, and it will be repaid. But you have the opportunity now to accept that payment in her life," as she gestures towards Eucalio.
I'll look quizzically at Eucalio.
What do
What
you
is?
mean by that? Oh.
Well, if you say that, that's fine, because that's all I was gonna say.
Both say it at the same time.
Orla says, "You saved my life. I owe you mine." And she looks at Eucalio, says, "She has taken the life of our brother, and she owes us hers. If you would accept her life as payment of our debt to you, would you accept?"
Yes,
You don't have to do that.
yes, I do.
Then I thank you.
We are kin.
True. Distantly.
When you looked back at Orithal, Moonstalker, go ahead and make either a perception or insight check, because you were expecting her to say something.
Yeah, I was expecting her to intervene, and she didn't. So
Nice.
You notice now that she is staring daggers at the two sisters, and she has one hand on the hilt of her sword.
I figured. To be honest with you, they just threatened Elf. Yes, this will conclude any debt that you owe me.
You see Orla bow her head to you, um, but you see Anna just scowl. She is not happy.
Is this a problem for you?
Um, Anna just kind of gets up, kicks some dirt onto the fire. You hear it sizzle a little as she storms out of the circle.
I'll look at Ukiel. Did I say it right?
Eucalio.
Eucalio. I would watch that one if I were you.
I am well aware of both of their murderous intents towards me. I am on this journey as penance.
I feel you have nothing to fear from this one anymore. Now look at the other sister, Orla.
Yeah. Orla says, "Indeed, your
I
debt is paid."
appreciate it.
And then she looks over her shoulder at where her sister stormed off to and says, "What? Excuse me." She lays her stiletto on the ground in front of you, gets up, and walks after her sister.
Same with Zurich.
Yeah. I think
Goldie's
Eucaliel's the
pretty
only one
good.
who isn't standing there tense, gripping a blade of some
Mm-hmm.
sort, because
Mm-hmm.
she's just like,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna happen if it's gonna happen. There's nothing I can do about it.
Turk's pretty chill.
Yep, super chill.
I don't have my hand on any weapons, but it looks like I look like a spring about ready to be sprung.
Hmm.
Orithel finally speaks up after the two sisters have left, and she's kind of watching them as they kind of disappear into the shadows. They haven't gone too far. They're still within, let's say, about 60 to 80 feet away from you, but they kind of sat down at the edge of the hill, and you can see that they're kind of talking to each other in hushed voices. And um, Orthel's just looking at their backs and says, I care not for Dunlenders or their master for that matter.
I, to be honest, I agree with your sentiment. However, Lord Elrond has assured me that there is nothing to be concerned about. And so I do as he asks. They are servants of Saruman, therefore I cannot touch them.
I'm gonna look at Orthel and say, actually, one second. This is Darin. I'm going to say, I think I should accompany Eucalio to finish her journey and keep her safe from this assassin.
She looks at you a little surprised.
I also speak in Cinderin and
Oh,
just
no.
say, I appreciate the sentiment. I will admit we could do with another ranger among us again.
Right. And as these three are speaking Sindarin, went to the hobbits and the dwarf too. Blah, blah,
Just sit
blah,
there,
blah.
yeah, looking
Just kind of,
frustrated.
yeah,
Eh,
just kind of stand there and go, "Hey, I got us this far on the river, man. Come on."
Nothing against you guys. This is just so that the Dunlings don't understand what I'm saying.
Goldie will just turn to Turk. Just they're hush hushing again.
Yeah, you got a snack? Oh, I could
Get
use it.
nads. I would get nads out of my pocket and just like share.
Yeah, snack time.
I one thing though, Goldie would be looking at Ortho,
Mhm.
and she's happy and she trusts everyone, but she's also getting a little paranoid. Is she getting any like? She did say she didn't care about them, but when Eucaliel mentioned Saruman or something like this, what what was her expression? I guess I'm going to like
Go ahead and make an insight check for me. He's trying to do a vibe
this
check on Orithel.
vibe check. Yeah, she doesn't like the. Oh, that's right. Music sucks. The down landings, but
That's
just
true.
one
We do have to
thing.
kind of be concerned about the faction stuff going on.
Yeah, no, insight's not my skill. I need to stop trying to do that.
Um, yeah, no, she just looks like a very stern woman, a no nonsense kind of woman that has seen some shit.
Mhm. Just eating snacks.
Um, so you say this in Sindarin, and she replies to you in Westron. It's, we are with friends, Moonstalker. you can speak the common tongue.
I glance over my shoulder towards the Dunlendingers.
I care not for what they hear, for our conversation is. They are bound by oath. What Elrond spoke of is true. They will serve their master till the end. They will not, they dare not disobey him. I have no fear of them. But, Moonstalker, you have been with me now for almost 3 years. I have taught you everything I know of these lands. You still need to improve on your archery skills, but I can teach you no more. If you wish to accompany this company to Isengard, that is your choice. You do not need my blessing.
I'll go down on one knee and bow my head and say, "Thank you, my lady."
So get up, you fool. I'm not Aracel.
A question to the two of you. Have you heard this far south of the faction conflict amongst the Dunedain?
You can go ahead and make an insight check for me, please, when you
Okay.
mention this.
All I'm gonna do is tense up a little bit. I'm not gonna make any facial expressions.
What do I have a plus
Right.
6 to this
You guys are
for?
rolling hot tonight.
Woo! Good thing it's not combat.
Hmm.
Ortha just slowly turns her head to face you when you ask this and says, "The matters of politics and power do not mean or matter much to me here. What concerns me are the safety of those who travel the King's Road, the squabbles of those that vie for power and control, are for the weak and weak minded, those who have nothing better to do with their time than make trouble when there need not be any."
I'm happy to hear that. And from your behavior, it also seems that you still hold respect for the elves of Rivendell. So I don't see any concern. We have come across those who did not, and that was my concern.
You speak of Dunedain,
Yes,
who speak openly against the elves of Rivendell.
yes.
Who would that be?
Dang.
And you see her tense up.
Taliel knows his name. I do not.
Targost.
Yes, I will say his name. The angry red-headed one.
Uh,
I'll tilt my head at that.
He spoke to both myself and Maidan, who traveled with us up to Rivendell, and he seemed very hostile towards me.
he, you can see her like you don't even need an insight or perception check for this. You can see her visibly, like her jaw just tightens when you mention this. And says, she turns to you, Moonstalker, and says, "Accompany these fine travelers to Isengard, making sure that they arrive there safely. There's more afoot here than I'd first bargained for. It would seem I must return to the angle and deal with my sister myself."
bow my head. Are you sure?
I'm certain if her lieutenant is the one spreading such nonsense amongst the Dunedain, it must end.
I meant about me going with them and you going alone.
When it comes to matters with my sister, it is best that I approach her myself.
Very well.
And the protection of these fine travelers is of the utmost importance. Now, if there are those who would move against Imladris, and with the heightened activity of the orcs of the Misty Mountains in these areas, they would do well with your protection.
I will do my best.
What language is this being spoken in?
Western.
West.
Okay, so Zurich rolls his eyes at that.
Do you roll your eyes in Western or in Dwarvish?
Dwarven, it's a epic dwarven eye roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Epic. All right. If you don't try to hide it, Artha will see the epic dwarven eye roll. And at that, she just smiles and says, "Of course, Master Dwarf."
Doesn't he get a stealth roll for the eye roll?
I don't think he was
Doesn't need one. Wasn't
intending
trying to hide it.
Oh,
Wasn't trying to hide it.
Okay.
And actually, she turns to you. Then something just strikes her, and she notices that there's a dwarf amongst you. Master Dwarf, what did you say your name was?
I didn't.
You bear the crest of the Blue Mountains,
I?
and if I'm not mistaken, it's Harmest, the dwarven fortress in the southern spur.
What of it?
You are a long way from home.
My rosy-colored forehead should tell you that.
Then you might not have heard the news.
What news?
Yes, I'm sorry to tell you, but your stronghold has been overrun.
Bullocks. Unless you have proof, I've got no reason to trust rumors as they spread across the hills.
And I'll say, if Lady Orthel says it's so, it is so.
Well, then tell me more. What happened? No dwarven stronghold has ever fallen without an epic fight.
Oh, I did not say there was no fight. I'm sure there must have been. The wargs and orcs and goblins of the Misty Mountains have been much more active as of late. They have roamed and ranged farther than they have in many years, as far as the southern borders of the Shire, and as farther yet to the southern spurs of the Blue Mountains. It is as if they seek something or someone. And something.
Dwarven gold, I'm sure.
Perhaps. But there's more to this world. There's more that the enemy in the shadow desires than just gold.
Zurich knows that and agrees, but he is stone-faced.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of such news.
Well, with all respect, I'm sure you don't have all the facts.
Indeed, perhaps I do not. It has been quite some time since I received this report.
But thank you for the notice. I too shall inquire further and keep that in mind.
Of course. When you make your way to Tharbad, please try to keep a low profile. Gurnau's thugs have a way of entrapping people. And for those who are not, or do not have their wits about them, um, you will find yourselves either within the jails of Tharbad or forced into indentured servitude on the Middle Island.
Well, I won't necessarily say that we are the best at keeping a low profile, considering our track record, but we will do our best.
If you
um,
seek an ally, seek Amelia Kern. She's an old friend, and one of the few I can trust in Tharbad.
quick out of character question.
Mhm.
The wise women that we were looking for, they
Mhm.
are not in Tharbad, but in like the marshland to the
In
southeast.
Swanfleet.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, in Swanfleet. Gotcha. I guess we could still ask if she had any information about it though, because we don't really know where.
Yeah, go for it. Ask her.
Did we have a name for who these women were? I forget.
The
Um,
crones. They're the crones of Swanfleet.
they are just the wise women of Medcaute.
Okay. How do you spell that? I need to write that down.
Medcaute.
Okay. Um, then yeah, I will ask, are you familiar, by the way, with the wise women of Medcaute?
She raises an eyebrow at that. And why would you ask of such things? Swanfleet is not on your path.
I kind of like look over my shoulder towards the sisters that are like a ways away, and I'll just kind of like lower my voice a little bit and just say, while some of our company do not wish to make any detours, we have been asked by Gandalf to speak to them.
Name dropping galore
Yeah.
here. Huh?
Because it's like, I can tell that she just doesn't trust us. So I'm like, hey, Elrond said this, Gandalf said that. Can't, you can't blame me.
Um, so she's like taking this all in and is like, you do run in eclectic circles.
Well, I suppose it is strange for some. I spent most of my life with Elrond and have met Gandalf many times. So I apologize. It doesn't seem as strange to me. I don't even trust us. That's true. I don't trust us either. We've lost everything we were supposed to keep hold of.
Exactly, right.
He says, Swanfleet. Hmm. Swanfleet is a strange place. It's many of those who fled Tharbad after the Great Plague and subsequently the floods and numerous sets of disaster and corruption over the years. And of course, there was the Great Winter. Many of the locals, when they had the opportunity, fled either north to Breland, south to Launder, and when she says the word Launder, she spits, or east to Swanfleet. Now, Swanfleet has many stories surrounding it. There is talk of a giant bird that swallows up strangers, that roams the marshes, a protector of sorts of those who dwell there.
Not mine.
Uh, no one has, or very few, have ever gone into Swanfleet and re-emerged alive. There are rumors of a town deep within the fen named Swantown, but these are just rumors. No one really goes in or out. And
Jake
these
Andre.
women, these women that you speak of,
Yeah.
I know this story. The sleeper beneath the hill.
Yes. He wants to know the truth.
There are many that would seek this hill and the secrets it holds, for many believe there those halls contain many treasures from the first and second ages. As such, the location, if such a location actually exists, is held in great secret. Even I, a ranger of the north, do not know where exactly that hill would be.
But if you know where these wise women are, then, and perhaps the best or quickest way to get to them, then we can go to them and make our request for entry there.
Be careful what you ask for. Those who live in Swanfleet will choose whether you live or die. If you walk into Swanfleet, if they choose that you're worthy of their attention, they will find you. And if they deem that you are not, you will wander those fens and never find a way out.
So it seems you're advising that we don't go there at all.
No, I imagine someone such as Mithrandir would not direct you to such a place without purpose, but you should be aware of the threats and the dangers that lie there. One just does not walk into Swanfleet.
There's so many places one just cannot walk into. uh, I know that we should probably go to our rest soon, but I did have a another question before our friends come closer. And I glance back over towards the sisters. Um,
As you
in
do
recent,
so,
okay, uh-huh.
just quickly, you see Orla lean her head on Anna's shoulder.
Okay. Nice moment of care between them. In the past few weeks on your watch, have you seen anything strange come down the river?
She looks at you kind of strangely. So, what do you mean strange? You mean aside from the orcs and the brigands?
Well, those seem dangerous, but normal. I'm asking about something unusual. Perhaps a strange shade traveling down the river, but it may not have been.
She glances over at you, Moonstalker. I do not recall such a shade venturing down the river. Do you?
The only thing I can recall in the river recently, besides the orcs we dumped in it, was Orla.
No, perhaps that is what you refer to then? The bodies of
And
the orcs that we have slain along the way?
no, this is something that came from the north that we have mislaid and are attempting to retrieve. Perhaps it has made its way to Tharbad.
She looks at you momentarily and says, why do I get the impression that it is probably better that I do not ask?
You are very wise.
You are a strange company indeed.
We keep being
You
told that.
you are free to make your camp with us here. I would be honored. I
Thank
owe you a favor for capturing and bringing this. And she gives John Leaping a hard kick. Idiot.
Yes, he was a bit of an annoyance.
When she makes mention of making camp, Zurich looks around for the sisters.
Oh, they're still sitting there.
Okay. What about the one that stormed off?
They're both sitting there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just like out of the light.
Yeah.
yeah,
I thought one of them stormed off and they were like,
yeah. One of them stormed off. Anna stormed off, and Orla went after her.
but they're still within eyesight.
They're within eyesight, but not within earshot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
Quick character backstory question.
Mhm.
Turk, of course, was only first level when he, well, he had been up to 3 before, but Tharbad, doubt that as a smuggle runner he would have gone that far, but would he have heard of Gurnow or Amelia Kern in discussions among the other smuggle runners?
Go ahead and make an old lore check.
Not that it's important really, but I really did a lot more damage to those orcs than I did. I should have had sneak attack on there and then +2 for my wisdom on each hit. I just got
That's
to read
right.
my character sheet and
Oh,
I
that's
forgot.
right. That's right. Forgot about the +2 because they're orcs. Yeah.
And then sneak attack because
Um.
of me being the warrior.
Yep. So old lore 7. You would have heard that there is a new captain in town in Tharbad. Um, um, and you've kind of heard mixed things about him. On the one hand, people believe that he's just like a warlord, effectively like a brigand that has risen to power and assumed control of the place. But others think that he might actually be a good force to make some real change in the city, despite his past. So it's kind of a mixed bag there. You do know that some of these barrels that have been floated down the Brandywine make their way all the way down to Tharbad. Um, so there is some Shire brew that makes it all the way down there. So there is a route that smugglers use to get goods back and forth. But you would not have heard of that other woman's name. All right. Anything else? Um, one last thing before, as you're starting to pull out your bedrolls and make camp, and you see Anna and Orla return to the circle and kind of off to one side by themselves, pull out their own bedrolls and uh, and prepare their own fire. They don't want to sit at yours. Um, Orithel asks you all, as you are new to this region and to Tharbad in general, I can offer you counsel, if you like, in the way of a history lesson, so to speak, which may or may not help in your orienting your way and navigating your way through Tharbad.
I would always accept a history lesson as I pull out my father's gift and set it up so that I can start writing on it. The first time anybody's seen this like really, really nice looking, ancient looking calligraphy set.
Nice. All right. So as you are settling in, and I imagine the hobbits have prepared a wonderful late dinner. Um,
Something with bacon.
all right. And what would Zurich like to do in this time? Do you want to hang out and listen to his story, or do you want to do something else?
No, yeah, no, he's intrigued by what you said about the dwarven stronghold uh, folding. So he's gonna hang out with the rangers, try to see if he can trust them and learn more. But yeah, he's around the campfire too.
All right. So this is a bit of a spiel. So if there's at any point in time you want to stop me, just raise your hand. I'm doing a lore dump here.
Before I forget, is there a cache here in this area?
Oh, um, the Rangers definitely would know of that. Yes.
I just like to refill my quiver because I'm missing 5 arrows before I head out
Yep.
with these
Yep.
guys.
That's not a problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Not a
Ooh,
problem.
did we just hear a little bit of ranger lore? A cache?
Secret caches.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Rangers have caches all over the place. Um,
if I see Torgon head off to this cache, I'll follow him.
Sneaky hobbits.
Yep.
um, do you really want to do that? Because I'm gonna have to make stealth and perception checks and all
No,
that
no,
stuff.
I'm tucking into the bacon and the beans.
All
I'm
right.
good.
All right. So Orthel um, uh, pours herself uh, a strong alcoholic drink from water skin, and she kind of holds it gently in cupped hands in front of her as she stares into the fire. And when she has all of your attention, she begins. These are the dying days of Tharbad. Everyone knows it, especially those who have witnessed the city's slow decline over the years. They know that Tharbad has always shambled on from crisis to crisis. The city is immense, but it is a wounded beast. It's like a heavy creature wallowing in muddy water, too stubborn and hungry to ever give up. But Tharbad has suffered a mortal injury, and soon it will fall. It'll be one more ruin of the old kingdom, silent and abandoned. And that is, in fact, an astounding thing if you think about it. Tharbad, as a city, is ancient. If these are indeed the last days of the old city, then great changes are most certainly in the air. And I'm afraid the turning of an age is at hand, as she looks at you, Eucalio.
I nod.
There has been a settlement at the crossing of the Grey Flood since men first came to this part of the world. But time grinds hard stone to meals, it slays kings and ruins towns. And Tharbad of today is very different from that of old. In the first age, men dwelt in the woods and marshes along the river. For the most part, they were simple forest-dwelling people, unwelcoming to outsiders and fearful of the wider world. Some traded with the dwarves of Moria, and learned a little of their craft and ways, becoming kings in their little kingdoms, and raising towns and castles that have long since crumbled into dust and have been forgotten. Most, though, clung to their own customs, surviving as best they could in the dark woods, hiding from the nameless darkness in the north. Later, the Sea Kings came from the west. My ancestors, our ancestors, as she looks to Moonstalker. Wood hungry they were, so they cut down forests to build their ships and floated the trees downriver to the haven at the mouth of the river, Londare. And she spits again. In time, they cut such a wound in the forest that they needed a port further upriver, and they chose the crossing point that would become Tharbad. A town grew up around the port, a crossroads where the sea kings of Numenor traded with the dwarves of Moria and the elves of Holland. The men of the west were peerless craftsmen, and the city of Tharbad was glorious in those times indeed. But that was long ago, and little of that first city remains. Who remembers the banners fluttering in the wind atop hundreds of masts, numerous as trees in a forest? Who remembers that Sauron the Terrible suffered defeat not far from Tharbad, in the forgotten first war between the elves and the enemy? Only the elves, of course, and they are gone from this part of the land. Tharbad was many things as the Second Age wore on, a fortress in the midst of hostile lands, a river port and center of trade, a place where the Sea Kings demanded tribute from their subjects, a declining outpost on the edge of an empire. Numenor fell into darkness and then ruin, but out of that ruin came the faithful of Elendil and his sons, as she gestures to it herself, and Moonstalker once more. They founded the northern kingdom of Arnor and the southern kingdom of Gondor, and built great cities at Anuminas in the north and Osgiliath in the south. To bind their two far-flung kingdoms together, the faithful built a great road across Middle-earth, and at Tharbad they raised a new bridge across the wide and sullen Grey Flood. The bridge, this bridge of Tharbad. Oh, to look upon it. It leapt in three great stone arches from the south bank to the central pillar rising in the middle island, and then with three more arches reached to the northern shore. Two mighty towers guard it, and their foundations made of the same imperishable stone as the Tower of Orthanc itself, which you all know is another word for Isengard. The bridge is broken now, but sometimes the fog that rises from the river seems to settle atop the remains of the mutilated pillars, and the city remembers. For a time, Tharbad stood at the crossroads of the world. It was part neither Arnor nor Gondor, but shared between the two crowns. The captain of the haven of Tharbad was a title of special magnificence and renown. Even when the North Kingdom broke into the successor realms of Arthedain, Cardolan, and Ruadar, Tharbad maintained considerable independence, which rankled, of course, the kings of Cardolan. But traffic between the kingdoms diminished as war and plague took their toll, and grass grew between the flagstones of the Road of Kings. When the last prince of Cardolan perished, and his kingdom faded, Tharbad endured, ruled by a long line of officers, each in turn holding the honorary title of Captain of the Haven. For a time, there was trade with the wealthy dwarves of Moria, but they too fell victim of the treacheries of the enemy. Kingdom by kingdom, city by city, town by town, the north fell into darkness. Tharbad faded too. Its population never recovered after the Great Plague, and much of the city fell into disrepair. All that, though, is ancient history. Moria and the plague were 1,000 years ago, and the folk of Tharbad are short-lived mortal men, not descendants of Dunedain or immortal elves. For many years, the singers kept telling tales of kings of old who came over the sea to lay down in the barrows to die, and sometimes travelers came up the road with news of the south. But for the most part, Tharbad was no longer a crossroads, and no ships were seen sailing up the river. The surrounding area began to be troubled by bandits and thieves, and only the mighty fortifications of old kept Tharbad safe. The ruined city became an isolated fastness amid the wilds of Minheriath, where honest folk could take refuge from brigands or unlending raiders, as she looks over at the two sisters. Then, 50 years ago, came the fell winter. Those days were bad indeed. The crops died and the land froze. And how old are your characters? Is there anyone less than 50 years old aside from Moonstock? Okay, so you
Let's see.
I
guys.
think it's just
I think
habits in Moonstalker.
Yeah.
Less.
Zurich is 50 years old.
Okay, so you're born
You
at the time of the fell winter then. This was the winter of all winters, like Game of Thrones type winter. This is this.
I would remember, but
It
I
was
would never know.
it was epic. Basically, the entire like Eriador was covered in like tens
Yeah.
of feet of snow. It was horrible. Those days were bad indeed. The crops died and the land froze, and wargs came west of the Misty Mountains to hunt. What followed, though, was worse. In spring, all the snow heaped on the hills and peaks melted, and the rivers swelled and burst their banks. Well named was the grey flood that awful summer, for the usually quiet river grew dark and terrible, and floodwaters poured through the town, washing away hundreds among the surviving inhabitants of Tharbad. The river, in its wrath, could not destroy the ancient piers that supported the bridge, but many arches crumbled, and their mighty stones fell into the raging currents. Tharbad had suffered many disasters in the past, and the bridge had already fallen into disuse, so perhaps the city could have weathered this calamity if it were not for the weakness and the folly of men. The succession of captains of the haven after the floods of 2912 were among the worst elected in Tharbad in all its long history, leading up to the disastrous reign of Master Heatherton. He was the first to drop the honorary title of captain, and who imposed an unpopular tax to repair the bridge, only to flee along with several of his cronies and the contents of the town coffers. When even the following master abandoned his post, taking with him his chain of office, many citizens feared Tharbad was doomed and fled the decaying city. Some headed north to Breland or down the river towards the sea. Others, fearing a perilous journey, took refuge amidst the reeds of Swanfleet. When it seemed as if the city would soon be utterly abandoned, the arrival of a new master arrested the stream of people leaving the city. And this now is Master Gurnau, who has reclaimed for himself the title of Captain of the Haven and has forbidden anyone else from leaving Tharbad, compelling everyone to remain unless they pay a steep, exorbitant, and obviously unaffordable gate tax. Captain Garno was, until recently, an outlaw and a bandit. He commanded a host of thieves who dwelt in the wilderness north of town, not far from Greymoor, actually. Those former thieves have been appointed as the city watch, tax collectors, bailiffs, and other officials. Gurnau has married Lady Stock. Hold on a second. A woman of good family and royal blood, and so is clearly set on being or appearing to be an upstanding and law-abiding steward of Tharbad's ancient office of captain. This is the man that now leads Tharbad. He resides, and she pulls out at this time a map of Tharbad. And I will share this to you in your
Yay. This is like an up to date map.
handouts. Yes.
Nice.
So if you take a look at this map,
Much
you are
bigger.
on the North Shore.
Yeah. It's like
It is a big
Australia.
city.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, very much, very similar.
Hi, buddy.
She points a finger at number 2, the Red Palace. This is the place that Captain Gurnow now calls home. And she looks over at you, Moonstalker, and says, "This is where you must deliver my message."
I'll bow my
Seems
head.
a rather dangerous place to head to.
And then she points to number 8 and says, "This is the home of Amelia Kern. She's a friend, as I mentioned, but do not do anything to compromise her position in Tharbad. I would use her only as a last resort. If you need a place to stay," she points at number 4, "the Bridge Inn is your best bet. The proprietor there is a little frightening, but harmless. There are many rules in Tharbad, and many eyes. Be careful."
Are there any rules that are unusual that we should know about ahead of time that we could easily break without knowing?
She
Like
pulls out another
like
piece of
like
paper.
singing or spitting in the street.
She pulls out another piece of paper that's kind of like folded up in her satchel. "These will be posted up everywhere. Hold on one second. Captain Gurnow's rules. You should see that in your handouts too."
Ah,
Okay. Oh, there's a library. We're going to the South anyways. Just stop in the library.
So you should expect to pay a toll as you fall under the category of strangers.
Okay. No sharing food or firewood. Okay.
Now you should know the cobbler that have been sent to retrieve obviously was not a resident of Tharbad, but was yet still forced into indentured servitude.
Yes.
They will find loopholes. They will find any excuse to keep you in Tharbad.
Hmm. Is it of your opinion that we should prioritize leaving Tharbad over accomplishing this exchange properly?
She looks at you and says, "You have given your word, have you not?"
I have. I'm just, I don't know this place, and I would be willing to sacrifice much to maintain my word, but I also have given my word to far larger tasks. And so I just
I would
wanted to
ask
see
you
your opinion.
this. I have offered you the services of Moonstalker to escort you safely to Isengard. In return, I would ask that you help him deliver this message. I would say that it would be of even more importance than reaching Isengard.
Understood. Is there anything? Do you know if there are any of us among our company who should try to hide our origins while we are within the city?
Tharbad is a very metropolitan place. Even though it is dying, there are folk from far and wide who travel through here. It is a crossroads of sorts, and as such, people are drawn here from all four corners.
Understood.
So, with regard to the rules, do you know if people are able to circumvent the rules by perhaps paying the right people?
Corruption abounds in this city. I'm sure more than a few palms can be greased.
Do you have any insight with regard to who some of those names might be?
Says, well, that's what this sod, and she gives John O'Leaping another kick, was supposed to tell me.
Let me see.
Why are Berserk will say, why are the rules so oppressive? Don't the laws of man pay any respect to their kind?
Gurnau rules Tharbad with an iron fist, and he has the might to enforce it, as there is no one else who can stand against him.
Do we know why he wishes the people to stay? Is there some task that he has them about, or it just seems strange?
Despite his failings and his methods, he does seem intent on rebuilding Tharbad and placing himself as a crown jewel or the architect of that resurrection of sorts. I feel that Lady Stock, the woman he married, has large sway over his decisions and his desire, as brutish as they are, to rebuild Tharbad.
Well, I hope that she is amenable to discussion and conversation if she has such a sway over him.
If I were you, I would try to stay away from Gurnau and his men, and that in itself will be very difficult. My suggestion for you would be to deliver the message and spend as little time as possible in Tharbad.
Well, we still have to try to get that cobbler free. Who would we talk to about that exchange if not the captain himself?
She rubs her temples. That's true.
That's what
That
I
would
was
only be.
concerned about.
Then I would ask you this. Deliver the message first, because after you have spoken with Captain Gurnau, there's a very strong chance that you will be placed in jail or forced into labor within the city walls and never be allowed to leave again.
Understood. Hmm. Does anyone else have any questions? I know I have a lot of questions. I just don't know
Instead
if
of
she would have the answers.
instead of approaching the captain, did you not say your raven can deliver messages?
Yes, but in the circumstance of negotiating an exchange of prisoners, I feel like a message is not going to be able to do that successfully.
I'm not saying there might not need to be an interaction, but once we deliver the message and exit the city, could you not send the raven to deliver a message to the captain that you want to make this exchange and we are on the south side of the city and to bring the cobbler out to exchange him?
There's a problem with that, which is that even if that exchange works, the cobbler will now be on the south end of the city and needs to somehow get to the north of the city to return to their home, which would most likely require them to pass through the city again.
I would think the cobbler would be happy to be free regardless of the position he's in.
I understand, but it was part of our promise. We promised to return him to his village, and that's what, oh no, what's her name? The female Dunedain.
Orthel.
Orthel. That's what Orthel um, said that she would assist us with, was once we had gotten the cobbler's freedom, she would escort him home on her journey north.
I'm trying to offer you an alternative to being placed in jail.
I understand.
I mean, the cobbler could make his way north and swim across the river north of town and meet Orthel there.
Isn't the river like very dangerous, or is it not too dangerous at this part of the river?
The only way to, well, the bridge is out, so the only
Yeah.
way you're legally,
Yeah,
according to
because
the
you're not
rules,
supposed to ford the river.
you're not
Yeah.
supposed to ford it. Um, and you can bet that there are going to be
Yeah, you'd
guards
have to.
watching.
Hmm.
And
Well, I'm talking
you,
about
of course,
even outside of town, north of town, like closer to where it meets up with the Swarm
yeah.
Fleet or the
Yeah.
Orthel says that
Landswood.
they have patrols up and down the river to make sure people don't
Yeah.
try and
They'd have to travel
circumvent.
days before getting far enough that he would be able to cross, and he would have to do it alone because we wouldn't be able to go with him, and Orthel wouldn't be there to keep an eye on him. He would not survive that, most likely.
Well, we could guide him north, somewhere else to cross. I mean, but I'm just trying to offer you an alternative. I mean,
Didn't the people from the town that gave us kind of a ride across say that they were gonna wait? Because we kind of said that we were not gonna be able to do it all the way back. But I don't know if they
Yeah,
agreed to it or we just
I
let
think
it
they
go.
were about how far away? A day away
Yeah,
up the river,
so
but
it's
again, on the
closer.
north side. So,
Yeah, we would have to.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. And the southeast is where the Swanfleet marshes are, and that's really rough terrain there.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
I'm
have to
sure
do
we'll
that.
think of something once we are inside the city, once we get a lay of the land. Again, we deliver the message first, get a lay of the land, and then decide how we want to deal with this exchange. Do we
Um,
do we know the cost of these tolls?
They vary depending on how much they think you can pay.
Are they tolls on the way in and on the way out, or just on the
There
way?
are tolls at every gate to cross the Grey Flood. from the north to the middle island, and then again from the middle island to the south bank, and then to leave the city.
Well,
I'm
I'm broke.
yeah,
I got
I'm
two
pretty
silver
sure
and
I am
7
the
pennies.
only one who has money among all of us.
Yeah, I am out.
Well, let's
Um,
just look really poor, folks. Cover up your elven armor, and they won't ask us for much.
Zarek might have a couple of coins stored away, but good luck trying to get them away from him.
Yeah, I have. How much do I have? I have 11 silver right now. That's it.
Quick question: Does
Mhm.
could Turk perhaps have any gong farmer contacts within the city? Does he know the people who do it here?
No,
Okay,
you would not.
Thought I could ask.
Mhm.
um, and sorry if I was away and I didn't hear it, but do we know where the cobbler is held at?
You don't.
We don't
Ha-
Um,
know.
but she would, Ortha would say that all the tradesfolk that have been forced into labor are on the middle island.
Oh, fantastic.
how do we get across the river normally? Because I know
Uh, you,
Orathel's not going to go through the town, right?
you're right, but whenever you cross the river, you find villages up or down. But these are days north or south of Tharbad.
Okay.
Um, because normally communities that live near the river don't want to get into the bad graces of Tharbad because they're guaranteed there are spies in each of these towns that report back to him,
Gotcha.
which you guys know.
Yeah, like a leaping. Yeah.
Or
I
like
was just curious, though.
the guy that that the assassins killed, running out of Greymoor.
Um, I will turn to her, and I'm sorry if I missed it, but he kept saying that he's like, and I'll point at the lame guy. He's very important in the city. Is he playing his own form, or is he really
Hmm.
important?
When you mention him, Orthel stands up from the fire, puts her mug down, pulls out her sword, and walks over to John, a leaping, kind of kicks him until he's like marginally semi-conscious, pulls his head back by his hair, and holds the sword next to his throat. Now tell me, John Alipin, how important are you really? What trouble will I get into if I were to cut your head off right now? And John, in his stupor, just barely conscious, says, I'm nothing. I'm just a piece of shit. I, and then he just kind of drops his head. There you have it.
If he's semi-conscious, I'm just gonna go and like kind of kneel next to him. I told you we were gonna help you if you were gonna help us. Sorry, dude. And I'll just get up and walk away.
You can see him kind of a tear roll down his face.
People need to learn to be nicer, you guys. This is not
I know,
okay.
right?
um, so Orthel says, you have a big day ahead of you. There's not... Situations can shift at a moment's notice. The breeze changes direction. One moment you have the scent of plums and oranges. Next minute you're smelling the foul rank of the gray flood sewage. Your fortunes will spin on a dime there. You should keep your wits about you. Get your rest.
Um, do you know how they feel about um, varied company? hobbits, elves, dwarves.
Oh, there
Yeah.
are hobbits in Tharbad too, and dwarves. You'll
Okay.
find a multitude of dwarves, in fact, in the Middle Island.
Oh. You,
Stonecutters, I'm sure.
Indentured servitude.
yeah, you just said that that was not a good place, so that's not great. Okay. Okay.
Good place to start a
The
dwarven
only
uprising.
the only folk that you will not find in Tharbad, at least to my knowledge, are elven folk.
Okay.
Well,
Might do well to hide your ears.
it might work to our favor, though, if this leader of Tharbad wants to seem like a more refined and legitimate leader. Welcoming an elf to his city might work in that favor, but
Or he could decide to retain you for your lifelong knowledge.
Or as a hostage.
Or as a threat.
he could. I have a feeling that uh, some friends of ours, regardless of what promises they've made, would not find that a amenable situation. But if if you all wish for me to disguise myself, most of you have seen it before. I'm more than willing to. And I just take my hood, pull it up, and just say, I am just Callie, and Vando will stay at a distance.
Anna steps forward into the light and looks and walks directly up to you, Eucalio.
I put my hand on my sword.
And she looks at you and she's just kind of glaring at you, impassive kind of expression on her face, and says, I do not trust your fortunes in Tharbad. You should give the documents to me.
Those are not the commands given to me by Lord Elrond. These documents I am to guard with my life. So I
And
apologize, but I cannot.
what good will the documents be if, or rather, when your body floats down the graveside into the sea?
You
I
have
That
wanna
a
won't ha-
point.
that won't happen.
I wanna go over to Orthel and whisper in her ear so nobody else can hear me. If they go to make this exchange, I don't need to be with them when they're doing that, correct? Just keep an eye on them and let you know what happens if they get taken.
That's correct.
I'll walk over to Eucaliel and whisper in her ear in Sindarin, I will hold your papers for you, and I will stay back when you go to make the exchange. I will complete your mission if necessary.
I suppose I
It's your
trust
choice.
you more than others who are asking for these documents. But yes, um, I think that is wise. Um, and then I said that back to him in Cinderin, and then I turn to Anna and say, "Would you find it acceptable if Moonstalker here carries the documents while we are in the city?"
Anna looks in your direction, and she like makes eye contact with you, Moonstalker, and she's not blinking. And she simply says, I go where the documents go.
I will keep the documents safe.
I don't think it's a problem if you travel with him. We don't need everyone to go speak for this exchange to begin with. So it is advisable to have a few people not be known to be part of our group. So,
Anna looks at you and says, that might be the smartest thing I've heard come from your lips since we left Rivendell.
I do sometimes show wisdom, even after all of these years. I say
Better,
with as polite look on my face as possible.
very well. Then the Dunedain will hold the documents, and Orla and I will ensure he does not fail.
I
You
accept
are no
that.
concern to me any longer.
I appreciate you telling me that.
And she returns back to her little bedroll, exchanges a quick glance with Orla, and they proceed to fall asleep.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I was, Goldie, counting. I don't know if we were all on the same page. Maybe just me. That this asshole was a little bit important for this exchange. But if he's no one, what are we exchanging actually?
Well, he's one of theirs. We have him, and asking for one of the villagers. Now, granted, the villager is a craftsman that they're using for some purpose, but I don't know, we may have to do some additional negotiation. It may require something more than just an exchange of people, but
The little one has a good point. He says he's a piece of shit and nothing. Why would they trade for him?
Yeah.
Was he
it
not
could
an
be just,
informant himself?
I mean, it could be a matter of reputation. They don't want it to seem like some of their own bandits are easily captured and manhandled.
Have it handled.
If this captain's willing to enslave free travelers, I do not think he cares about his reputation.
Well, any suggestions? Because, as we've said before, I've given my word.
Um,
Is there anything that we might be able to provide in exchange?
Is You've given your word, but did you give a time limit on your word?
No, but we can't.
we have a time limit of ourselves.
Yes, and we can't bring this brigand with us on our entire journey. And if we let him go here and then come back at some point to retrieve the cobbler, then we certainly will have to come with something to offer in exchange.
What if after you complete your mission to Orthanc that we come back to this town and try to free the cobbler ourselves.
It's possible, but we have a meeting in Londair before that happens.
And we're forgetting our mission.
Yes.
Well, I mean, as
Yes.
far as I know, your mission was just to go north.
Yeah, we
That's
haven't.
all I
Right.
know.
We're forgetting our true mission.
Yes. And that's why I think that we might have to do some digging around in Tharbad while we're there, just to do some digging on that true mission, and I will kind of like look at the rest of the fellowship and say, if Moonstalker is going to be staying with us for a period of time, I believe that he needs to know the extent of our mission, but it should be a decision from all of us.
I will look at you and then look over at Anna and Orla and look back at you again.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Uh, all I'm looking for here from the others is a yes or a no, and then we will make the decision how to do so at a more appropriate time.
Yeah,
I'll give the cool nod. I think we can trust him.
Okay.
he should know what he's getting himself into.
Yes, the depths. The depth. Yep.
Okay. Then, as we are going to settle down to camp, I will ask Moonstalker
What
if
about
he would.
Zurich? Hold on. Zurich didn't answer yet.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, Zarek. I know he's the most reluctant about this.
Dour dwarf.
You get 3 beard tugs, so interpret that however you want.
I will interpret that as a yes. Because I remember he was satisfied by something I said one time and he tugged his beard. So I'm going to assume that any beard tug amount is a satisfactory response.
Yeah, it's a yes without saying yes.
I will ask Moonstalker to take a walk around the stones with me as everyone settles down to sleep.
I'll tilt my head.
And to make it short, so number one, out of character. Does the player already know this mission? Okay,
No.
all right, then I will attempt to quickly explain it. So this will all be
As quickly as an elf can, perhaps.
exactly. This will all be in Cinderin as we are making this circuit around.
At least she's not an ant.
Huh? Yeah, exactly. I'm not an ant, so it won't take years to tell this. But as we do the circuit around in Cinderin, I will say the other mission that we have here, the more important mission possibly, is that we seek to recover a ring of power that has been lost down the river a few weeks ago. Well, actually, close to a month ago at this point. Because we stayed for 2 weeks in Rivendell. um, Carried down the river by a shade. This ring must be retrieved. And we then must take it to rendezvous with Gandalf in Londair, where he will then assist us in the process of destroying said ring. We are on a bit of a time limit because apparently there is a frost dragon of the north that is waking up and making its way to rendezvous with said ring, and we don't want devastation to occur. And also the corruption that the ring itself brings and things like that.
With my shadow lore, do I get at what she's sending at about a shade with the ring? As far as how I interpret that,
Go ahead and make an old lore check for me, please, Moonstalker.
there it is.
See, I told the story quickly.
Now, for shadow lore, it says I get advantage on intelligence rolls regards to things, recalling things about the enemy. Is this an advantage or straight up
Yep,
roll?
there'll be advantage.
Ooh,
Because
that's
I have I have no bonus. Yeah, so
Um,
Oh,
can I?
yeah, a 3 and a 4.
I,
yay.
I didn't get a chance to say it because I was about ready to. But before you say whether this succeeds, which obviously I have a good idea that it won't. Oh no, that wouldn't have worked because I wouldn't know that he's trying to
Yeah.
plumb the depths of his mind to figure this out. Because I was going to give him rhymes of lore, but no, that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's in darn, I'll say, a ring of power. What ring would this be?
It is one of the dwarven rings of power. God, what was the name? It starts with an A.
And Laure.
And Laure. Although, God, it's those words where it's like, even if it's in a different language, it still just sounds like that word. So it's like proper nouns are dangerous.
Um, I will keep my word and not reveal your mission, but you should speak of this to Orithel
I would be more than
immediately.
happy to, although the the current owner of said ring is our dwarven companion, and he is the one who makes final decisions on everything pertaining to it. Um,
You would be doing yourself and your friends a great disservice in not telling Orithel.
I agree with you. Zurich is just a very stubborn dwarf, or just a dwarf, depending on how you perceive dwarves.
If you did not pick up on Lady Orithel's tells when you spoke of the issues within the factions, if you did not pick up on it, the leader of the opposing faction is her sister.
I
Lady
did hear her
Orithel
say
is
that.
a high noble of the Dunedain. She is not a common ranger.
I completely understand. It is just a circumstance of it is not my right to tell. I will happily ask Zurich if he agrees to share that information with her.
Lady Orithel has within her power to set many Dunedain in search of this item, who would be
Lord Elrond has
vastly
done the
more
same.
successful than your party would be. Your fellowship would be at attaining this yourself. There are Dunedain up and down the river in Carland that can be on the watch out for such a thing if they know that it is on the loose.
Out of character, remind me, what did Gandalf slash Elrond say about, like, discussing the existence of the ring to people?
Oh
Like,
no
did they
one.
tell no one? Yeah. How to say, I am sorry, but the reason we tell you is because you will be journeying with us and accomplishing this task with us. If if we are able to make a judgment call and decide to share that information with her, that is a judgment call of our own. But once that information spreads, the enemy's eyes are everywhere, the enemy's power is strong, and even people you trust can be corrupted. The more people know, the more dangerous this becomes. So, I will speak to Zurich and see what he thinks about speaking to Orthel, but I don't think that her sending the other Dunedain on a search for it would be the best idea. Because at the end of the day, we still need to bring that ring to Gandalf. So, but
The Dunedain could be set searching for it without knowing its true nature.
this is true.
And if nothing else, to just watch and get word back to Lady Orthel, who in turn could get that information back to you.
This is true. Um, I'll discuss it with the others. I will let you get your rest. I don't need as much sleep as the rest of you do.
That conversation that just happened, what language was it in?
Cinderin.
Well, thank you.
Well, I mean,
Well, we went for a walk anyway, so we weren't sitting around the campfire talking. So,
true. But I specifically did in Cinderin because I didn't want the assassin ladies, which technically we don't know that they don't know Cinderin. So it's just
chances
I
are, Redundantly actually knowing Cinderendo is pretty slim. I'm not saying that they couldn't,
hey, they
but
know black speech, so I'm a little
well,
concerned.
they know black speech. I mean, but I know Cinderin, but I don't know black speech. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
saying.
just like they serve Saruman. Who knows what he taught them? Um, but yes, I will walk with Moonstalker back to camp. Um, is Zurich asleep yet?
Uh, how
Wake up.
how long was the conversation? Yeah, I would say I would say yeah, Zurich nodded off.
2 minutes,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. You said you are asleep or you're not?
I am nodded off. Yeah, I am
Okay,
asleep.
gotcha. Then after we return, I will head over to Zurich. Um, who else of the NPCs appears to still be awake as I come back?
Um,
Or near.
Anna and Orla seem to be sleeping.
Hmm.
Orthel is also asleep.
Okay.
Stay and watch until Orthel awakes, and then I'll go to sleep.
And John Leaping is snoring away.
Hmm. Were you gonna say something, Goldie?
Yeah, I was, again, sorry if I missed it when I left for a second. Um, did, do we know? Because Arthel said that he was an informant for her.
Yes.
Did she talk much about it? Because if not, I would ask her, like, before she goes to sleep, like, how important would it be that someone's an informant for a ranger in there? Because that might be more worth it than his body. Like, sorry, dude, but.
She kind of looks at you as she's preparing to sleep and says, I'm not quite sure I understand what you're implying.
What would be the consequences for you if we said that he was an informant? Because that might make him more important than he think he is.
Well,
We
if
can,
it's a well-known fact that Lady Stock despises the Dunedain, or more specifically, the Rangers of the North. So, if you were to reveal to them that he was in fact working for one of us, um, I dare say he would not have a very pleasant life after that.
A good bargaining chip, then, right?
yeah, would it?
But she looks at you though. Would you do that to a man?
Would you, Goldie?
Well, they're doing it to someone who is innocent, so not everything is black and white. Um, and we are in dangerous territory. Yukalia gave her word, and if they're doing this to innocent people, then I mean, he doesn't seem like he's gonna change his ways.
It is a very dangerous place you go to, and morality is something that this place lacks in abundance. The decision, of course, is yours and your company's, but you must be prepared to live with that decision. Know that you have condemned a man to a life of servitude, or perhaps worse, is not an easy burden to bear.
Yeah, well, it's not gonna be the first, it's not gonna be the last.
Just be careful this path you walk on. Do not lose yourself to shadow.
That's right.
You have a good heart,
Hmm.
young Goldie. Trust in that.
It's getting harder and harder to trust in it when everyone seems to, well, ignore it. I just, hmm, we gotta protect those who can't protect themselves. This cobbler's, well, for what you said, doesn't seem that he deserved what he's getting. Neither everyone else in that city. If we can help at least one person.
Such burdens do not belong to you.
Well, they belong to someone. If I can share the weight, maybe it's gonna be easier on everyone.
You have a good heart. Trust in that. And even when those around you do not listen, that is when it is of most important.
Let's try to remember.
She smiles at you and says, It may do your company good to hear that as well. I can tell upon your faces that you travel a dark road. Do not lose yourselves or the light that you hold dear. And with that, she will tuck herself into bed and roll over.
Till.
Is there any... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when Eucaliel comes back, she's gonna go talk to Zurich.
You're gonna wake up a sleeping dwarf.
You said you weren't asleep.
Oh, I was. I am. I am asleep. I am asleep. Yeah.
It's important enough. I think I will. Yeah, I will. I will head over and.
Isn't the safest way to wake a sleeping dwarf to pour ale in his mouth?
Well, unfortunately, I don't carry ale on me, so I will just head over to where he is sleeping. Hopefully, it is an area that's like close to the furthest away from Anna and Orla, where they're sleeping. And I will just kind of like kneel down and tap him on the shoulder. Not sure how soundly he sleeps, so we'll start with just a tap.
I don't think a tap's gonna do it.
Okay. Then I will just kind of like nudge his shoulder with my boots, just kind of as if I was like waking him up for a shift or something.
Zurich stirs and mutters in his sleep, "No, no, you fool! The keystone doesn't go that way. It goes this way." And then he wakes up out of his sleep and sees Eucaliel and says, "What do you want?"
A little quieter, please. I informed Moonstalker of the mission, and he suggested that we speak to the Lady Dunedain about it. And I told him that
What?
you would
Absolutely not!
Please be quiet. I told him
How
that
dare
you
he!
would be the final decider on that.
Zurich
I
throws off his coverlet and gets to his feet. Where is he?
no.
Where's the walking tree trunk? Where is he?
He made a good suggestion. However, I told him I didn't think it was a good idea. But I said I would ask you anyways.
Of course you did. And I said no.
Would you like to hear what his suggestion was?
I'll listen, but only because it's you.
Thank you. He suggested that if we share that information with her, she would be capable of mobilizing the Dunedain in the area even without telling them the specifics, so that they could aid in our search similar to how the elves were mobilized by Elrond. And that would ease some of our burden as we accomplish the many other tasks we seem to have put in front of ourselves.
That would be nothing but setbacks after setback. You've seen what that ring does to people.
I agree.
It changes their minds. The Dunedain could not hold a candle to the power of that ring. They would cave to it before it even entered, before it even passed their fingernails.
Is Turk hearing any of this, by the way?
Make a perception check,
Yeah.
Turk.
He was being
see.
kind of noisy at one point.
And besides, did you not hear what Gandalf said? The ring will find us.
Yes, Turk is woken up by this conversation for sure.
And
So-
he rolls out of bed just very briefly. He just says, "Man, I almost drowned to get a piece of that amulet back to Zurich. The Dunedain, if they found that ring, they're going to be overwhelmed by that power." And he goes back to sleep.
Indeed. See, even the little one with little brains, they know.
Oh no. I will speak with him in the morning.
Did I hear
What?
that part?
Well,
Let us not reference the item in question, please.
no, I meant to say he brings up a good point.
Yes, he does. And you also bring up a good point. Which my question would be, should we take Gandalf's advice and rely on it to find us and not attempt to search?
You're asking the wrong question, Elven Scholar. The question to ask is if our new companion is going to be part of this fellowship or is he not?
Well, we've shared that with him. I believe he is to be part of this fellowship.
Then we
I
shall
am
learn.
ready to welcome him.
Then we shall learn quickly if that is the case and we can trust him. If not, well, then he is apart from us. And that's
That
it.
is fair. But we still have the issue of, do we expend even our own efforts to search? Or do we wait? Or not wait, but allow it to come to us as we complete other tasks? Chancing
Well,
that it will just come to us.
short of getting a pan and holding it across the river water, I think we continue
been a
to
month.
focus, of course.
Be in someone's hands already.
Then we must get to the streets and find out.
I agree. But yes, I am fine with not sharing that information with her. She has enough on her plate, so do we.
When we should continue to earn her trust. I've been thinking about what she shared with me about the fate of my kin. That was unsolicited. She does have our best interest at heart.
I agree.
But I do not think spreading news of even the ring's existence is going to serve us.
Again, Zurich. There are ears everywhere. Let us not specifically state the item we are discussing.
Zurich looks around and he sees he sees
I have
Turk.
been being
He sees
very
Turk listening.
careful.
It, the thing. You know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. The point is, we want no one else to know what we're talking
Indeed.
about. But yes, I will let you return to your rest.
How could I? Where is your new friend? I'm not sure we can trust him. He's off running to his lady leader now, for all we know.
For a moment, Yukariel actually looks surprised and is like, I hope not. I told him that it was your decision. And I look around.
Zurich storms past Galil to the door, to wherever, he looks around the
where
room
they're resting.
to see if Moostalker is there, and if not, he'll exit wherever they're at and try to
Moonstalker is not there,
find the Man Mountain.
but excuse me.
Yeah, and by the way, you're not in a room; you're on top of a hill. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're
But-
in a ring.
But
Yeah,
Orthel is there in her bedroll, but
Yeah.
you do not see Moonstalker.
Well, he's
Zurich
at least
shuffles
not
out of his
speaking to her.
bedroll and tries to find Moonstalker. By the light
Make
of the
sure to
moon.
get enough rest, though, Zurich. You can't survive on 4 hours like I can.
Well, I'm stealth about 100 yards away from the base of the hill, circling the hill, keeping an eye, making sure nothing sneaks up on the camp. So,
All right. So go ahead and make a stealth check for me, please, Moonstalker, and go ahead and make a perception check for me, please, Zurich, with disadvantage.
Disadvantage. Perception.
and I get advantage since it's Cardinal land, correct? That's why
Yeah.
I did that.
Oh, not bad. Not bad.
Wow, close, but you look around and you're
Grr.
unable to see.
I'll return
So
to
what-
Galliel and say, "Where is he? Where were you speaking?"
We were doing circles around the hill. Perhaps he's continued his watch. Just let him be. If you wish to speak with him, you can speak with him in the morning.
Zurk will head back to camp and at least keep an eye on what's her name again? Authorial?
Or Orthel.
Orthel.
So,
Keep an eye on Orthel. If Moonstalker hasn't gotten to Orthel already, at least Zurk will keep an eye on Orthel to make sure that Moonstalker doesn't have to come
Calio
back.
will settle in close to the fire, but like leaning up against maybe one of the stones if they're near enough, and do her like sitting, creepy, eyes open meditation. So it's like she's not like sleeping.
Nice.
It's just resting.
All right. The hobbits. Excuse me, the hobbits. Do you want to do anything tonight, or are you guys just crashing now?
No, I said my piece. Goldie, how about you?
Yeah, after that chat, Goldie would probably just sit down quietly and get her pipe out and sheesh.
Oh, yes, that's a good point. And why when the whole lore was going on, that I did as well. If we smoke the pipe, we have inspiration for how long?
Until your next short rest, I believe.
Okay, so we could have done a pipe together.
I'll allow it. I'll allow you just because this is technically a short rest, but I'll let it carry over to the next one.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's only if you've got the skill for it, though, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
All
these
hobbits
hobbits,
have
all
the
hobbits
skill
do.
for it. I don't know if you, Moonstalker, have the skill for it, but if I remember correctly, everyone else, at the very
I
least,
don't.
has the pipe. Kaliel does not.
I have a pipe and pipe weed, but I do not have the skill.
Gotcha.
Yeah. She would just quietly think.
All right, you guys both get inspiration. You all get a short rest in. The night goes by uneventfully. Nothing bothers you that night, and in the morning, as morning breaks, I guess you would have seen Orthel is the first to stir.
Gotcha.
She and Moonstalker exchange watch. So by the time everyone wakes up in the morning, she has already stoked the fire, put a little pot on to boil some water and make some tea.
Mhm.
John Leaping has been bound. He's gaining consciousness again. He's stirring around. He's groaning. He's clearly. I mean, he's been sleeping tied up all night.
Does he
After
still look
having,
injured? Like injured
yeah,
enough
he's
that
still.
needs like medical assistance?
Well, he has a gash across his ribs
Mhm.
and a huge welt on the back of his head.
At the very least, I think like when I see that he's starting to wake and the Dune lady starts like making breakfast stuff, I will get up, hand her one of my Rivendell apples for her like beginning of breakfast, And then I will go over to um, Johnny and like uh, patch up his gash at the very least, so that it's like cleaned and covered and stuff like that.
When you approach him, he's conscious enough, and he's basically gained 1 hit point back from the short rest, and he kind of flinches. He,
I'll just put my hands
what do you
up
want from me?
and just say, I have healing skills. I thought that I might patch up your wound so that it doesn't get things into it, perhaps hurts you less.
He looks at you, Jesus.
I have done
What do you
nothing to
want?
you this entire time.
What do you want from me?
I would like you to hold still while I patch your wound.
Nothing's for free in this world.
Would you like me to ask something from you?
That would make me feel better, yes.
Okay. You are apparently an informant for the Dunedain lady here. If you tell us someone inside the city that is a means of communication on the underside of things that we can interact with when we get in the city, I will patch your wounds.
He kind of, his eyes start shifting, darting around all over the place. Who told you I was an informant? Yeah.
The
That
woman
could
that
get
you
you killed.
conform to? And I kind of like look over at the Dunedain.
Wait a moment. You're not planning on bringing me Tharbad, are you? Still?
Did you want us to take you back to Tharbad?
I told you I'm a piece of shit. He's not gonna go through with the exchange for me. You don't know him. He'll kill me and keep the cobbler.
We'll figure out something else then. That's not up to me. I'm asking you for a connection inside the city so that we can find our own way of doing things. You wanted me to ask for something in return. I'm asking.
He kind of looks around a bit, and he kind of shakes his head for you to kind of come closer so he can talk to you more
Okay,
softly.
I will lean in closer.
Just make sure when you enter the north gate, go between the hours of noon and 3 p.m. The captain, or the watch at that time, the lieutenant, will be a man by the name of Tom Brass.
Okay.
Tell him John Leaping sent you.
And that will be a favorable thing to say?
You might get a discount on your taxes, on your entry taxes.
Understood. I will patch your wounds.
Fair trade.
That is a fair trade. Then I'll go ahead and patch him up.
Okay. Orthal sees you kind of doing this, and as you return from your interaction with John Leaping, he says, "You know he's a dead man. I don't know why you bothered with that."
Because we aren't dead until we actually are. And if I can make that last a little bit longer, then I have to try. I mean, he has such a short flash of time under the sun as it is. Why can't I just make it a little bit longer?
She
If I can
shrugs.
find a way that he gets out of this alive, I'll try that too.
Perhaps I've just become jaded in my old age, seen far too much.
When she says old age, I just kind of like chuckle a little bit. Yes, it could be. I have youthful eyes, it seems. Or so my father always tells me. But
She,
please enjoy your apple. It's from the orchards in Rivendell.
Thank you. Um, I'll save it for.
A special occasion. They don't last forever, so just, you know,
Of course.
don't hold
I
on to them for
appreciate.
like 3 weeks. They will.
Thank you. Just excuse me. I must talk to your friend briefly for a moment. And she makes her way over to you, Turk.
Okay.
And says, "I understand you, you Shire folk, are acquainted with brew.
It's one of my friends, Brew.
There is a man on the Middle Island. Should you find yourself there, his name is Milton, and he is a brewer. And strangely enough, he has a seemingly endless supply of ale from the Shire. If you find yourselves on the Middle Island, seek him out.
He's a contact of yours, then?
It's perhaps an acquaintance. I know of him, he does not know of me.
But he knows Shire folk.
He certainly knows your ale. And from what I understand, he would be amenable to meeting folk from the Shire. And he seems, from reputation at least, that he is a decent man.
Okay, that's good to know because I certainly know people in the brewing industries in the Shire. So maybe we have some common ground.
Again, just be careful. You never know who you can trust in Tharbad.
But people on the Middle Isle are those who are being held captive.
Yes, but there are still those who are spies on those in that island too.
Trust no one.
Exactly.
Do you have any rivercraft, any small canoes or coracles that we can use to perhaps sneak into town or get
No,
around a little bit easier?
no, I do not, and I would highly advise against that course of action as Gurno's men frequently patrol up and down the banks for just such activity.
Are they in rivercraft or are they just walking the shoreline?
They have both.
Okay, good to know.
No, Tharbad is a bit of a fortress in that regard. People cannot pass within 100 leagues of this place without the captain knowing.
Does he know about us then?
He knows about the Watchful Stones. He knows that there is activity here, perhaps undesirable to him, but he, for the most part, leaves me alone as I do not directly interfere with his operations.
A little bit of an out of game question. How much do the Dunedain know about the actions of the smuggle runners, the Gong Farmer smuggle runners?
You have no idea.
Yeah. So I'll ask her, what do you know of the Shire folk and the Gong Farmers?
I know you are far from home, but you can find your kin here.
Ah, on the Middle Island?
Well, throughout the city, there are those who have managed to escape that fate, but most have not.
And
You'll
if I were
find many, actually, along the river. I believe they might have relations to those who live in Buckland, I believe you call it in the Shire.
yes, Buckland.
Just distant cousins, river folk, you might say.
On the North Bank or the South Bank?
Mostly on the north.
In the outer districts or within the inner wall?
No, along the banks, within the city proper. They are, in fact, many of the boat operators that cross the Grey Flood are hobbits.
So they're officially sanctioned to do that work.
Yes, they obviously have to collect taxes and fees and whatnot, but yes.
Okay. And no particular building to look for them, other than by the crossing, I guess.
Beneath the bridge, beneath the old bridge, that's where the port is. That's where you would find a passage across the river.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome, and be careful, be safe. Again, accomplish what I've asked. Stay as little as you can within Tharbad. Be on your way. Keep a low profile. Don't break any rules.
Know the rules.
And with that, she says, she turns to you, Moonstalker, if you're still there.
Well, I should be sleeping unless she's woke me up
Oh, no,
at this point.
no, this is the next morning.
Okay. When I get up, I'm going to look at. Sorry, what's your name again, Elf?
Eucaliel.
Eucaliel. Sorry, I'm not at my screen to look.
No worries.
I will look at you quizzically.
I will shake my head. No.
I'll kind of shake my head. No back. Okay. And then go ahead. Ortho wants to say something or whatever.
Yeah, no, she's approaching you to talk, but is there something you would like to do beforehand?
No. That's what I wanted to do before I talked to her.
Okay. She has finished packing up her things and thrown on her backpack, rolled up her bedroll, and she approaches you, Moonstalker, and just kind of places one hand on your shoulder. She looks at you and says, "Oh, up at you," because you're a bit of a man tree.
And my brow is darkened, like something's troubling me.
She would know that look after having spent the last 3 years in your company, and you have seen many hardships and many leagues together. She simply looks at you, smiles, and then turns away.
Ellen will be with you, my lady.
And she doesn't even turn around. He just kind of waves a hand behind her as she heads north.
I'll
All
turn
right.
and look at the rest of them and say, "Are you ready?"
I believe so. Our fine friend here, and I point over to our captive, gave me some important information about our entrance into the city. And I share the information that he gave about when to enter the city and who to speak to and what to say.
Okay. Well, how long does it take to get to the city from here? I'm assuming it's not long.
No, probably a couple of hours. So you have a little bit of time before you need to leave. Make it
Okay.
to noon.
Did Zurich see the interaction between Moonstalker and
Orthel? Yeah.
Orthel?
Yeah.
Zurich will go up to Moonstalker and extend a hand.
I look at it. Yes.
Will you not shake my hand?
I'll shake his hand.
Do you think she knows
Knows what?
what you were thinking of telling her?
I know not what you're talking about.
And we best be on our way to Tharbad. And Zurich will start packing his things.
All right. In the
I
meantime, while
hand.
you guys are,
Okay, sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
I was
Go
just
ahead.
gonna say, I hand my bedroll back to
Ah!
Zurich, even though I literally didn't sleep in it. I just sat on top of it. I hand it back to him to carry.
Zurich straps
Oh.
it to his pack.
So just to be certain here, who is carrying the scroll case?
I was planning that when we got to the city, it would go to Moonstalker. But if everybody thinks that we should switch it now, then I will give it to him now. But otherwise, it's with me.
All right. All right. Anna will actually confront you about that and said, "Did you not agree to give the ranger the documents?"
I agreed that when we entered the city, it would go to him.
When we enter the city, it will be too late. There are eyes and ears everywhere. I would
Do
rather
you
not have
not
that
trust
information.
me?
No, I do not.
We've established that.
I have done much good, and I made one mistake. Can you say you've never made a mistake in your life?
That mistake cost my brother's life.
I did. But I also saved your sister's life, too. Oh, yes, I know. And many of my fellows have been reminding you of who saved whom and when, and I've been keeping quiet about it. But I did keep her from expiring that night. But I don't want your thanks. I'm just trying to show you that I'm not an evil person. I just made a mistake.
And do not make another. And hand documents to the ranger.
Fine. And I will walk away from her and go over to Moonstalker and hand the scroll case to him and just say, "Do not open this case. Do not give this to the Dunlendings. If something happens and you have to continue, you take this directly to Saruman himself." Understood.
Very well. And I'll take it and I will put it under my armor in the small of my back so that it's covered by my cloak and my backpack so nobody can see the bulge.
All right. So as you break camp and prepare to head towards Tharbad, John Leaping is just about hysterical now. He is doing everything, saying everything, promising everything to not go to Tharbad.
Does he have a cloak?
He does not have a cloak.
I will cut his sleeve off of his shirt and shove it in his mouth.
I suppose that is something that we should discuss very quickly. Goldie made a point. I believe it was Goldie who made this point. He may not actually be a bargaining chip for us. He did give us information that will get us a leg in when we get there. But if he is not a bargaining chip, then I do not think that we should have him placed under this leader of Tharbad's yoke again.
You just see John Leaping going,
I kind of turn and look at him and say, but he can never return to Greymore. Never.
Goldie is about to be in tears, but she'll just or thought may well hates rangers, and that she might want someone who's an informant for them. That uh, if we get him to the doors, they'll know who he is, and well, we'll have a problem there. However, um, maybe if we have a means to inform him that we have an informant with us, maybe that can get us like a little in to getting a cobbler out.
If you want my aid in the city, you cannot turn him over to them.
I don't think it's a good idea because, like I'm sure she said to you, it will be his death.
It could be my death as well.
Or torture. You can't.
As soon as you turn him over, he will reveal my secret.
He looks at you. Don't stop and just.
There's only one way I can be sure of that. Looking at him, that would be as if I take his tongue.
His eyes just go super wide.
And his fingers, assuming he can't write with his toes.
Did you say that?
Yes.
Hey, he's too dumb to write.
I understand that to many I may seem idealistic, but I think that it would be too easy for them to just take him and not exchange him for what we need. And so
Oh,
the
yeah.
entire point of bringing him there as an exchange, we would be dooming him and getting nothing in return.
There's another way. What if we leave him tied up here on the hill? You get to this lady and talk to her and let her know you have a Dunedain spy tied up outside of town, and you will tell her where and who this person is if she will release the cobbler.
But I thought that you were afraid of him revealing.
We would be long gone from the city before they would get here, would we not?
We hope, perhaps. You intend to never return to this area?
I will never go into Tharbad again.
What do the others think?
I haven't heard an alternative plan for trying to pull this off. So keeping him outside of town is probably better than bringing him in, because they'll just take him from us.
Inform them on our way out of town after we've had a chance to find out any news we need to know.
Yeah.
We'll deliver the message first. After we're have done that, then you can go and speak to this lady. You can go by yourself, so it doesn't endanger the rest of your party or whoever is going to represent you in this endeavor. I mean, it can be any one of you. Go speak to the lady. Inform her that you have a Dunedain spy tied up outside of town, and you will exchange that person's name and location in exchange for the cobbler from Greyflood?
Greymore.
Greywater?
Greymoor.
And if
Greybar, sorry. Greybar.
Greymoor. Sorry.
Greymoor, sorry. In exchange for the cobbler from Greymoor's freedom. Once the cobbler is turned loose and away from town, you'll let her know who and where the Dunedain spy is that has infiltrated the ranks of the captain's men.
and if
And you're offering yourself as a hostage, obviously, until you release that information, correct?
I mean, most likely, but that means that we won't be long gone by the time they find what they're looking for.
I will.
I see.
and maybe we don't. Once we're inside, we think about it, and we find another way, and we get out, and we free this man.
Is he going to be safe here, up on the hill, by himself, tied up, for however long we are going to be stuck inside that city?
You're talking a matter of half a day. I mean,
We hope.
Counterpoint.
I
If
mean,
we
it's going
free
to take
him,
you that long to speak to this lady? I mean, all we have to do is deliver the message. We'll have that done before it's dinner time, and then you can go speak to the lady. And I will head out the south side of town as you go to do so. Accompanied by the sisters, of course.
counterpoint to Galil also. If we free him, are the people around here gonna be safe from him?
Without spending a lot more time trying to do this and making contacts and spending a lot of time doing so, I see no other way to accomplish what you want to do. This is your one chance. If you want to do this speedily, this is the only way you can do it. unless you have another idea that I have not thought of. But if we were trying to free the cobbler on our own, it will take a lot of time. It will take weeks. Do you have that time?
We do
Well,
not.
that would be like a big prison break. I don't think
Mhm.
we can pull that off.
I don't think so
So,
either.
what other plan do you have to free this cobbler that you're so concerned about?
I don't have one. I just don't see this man as being someone who deserves death. That's all. Looking
Was he
over
not?
at Johnny.
Did you not say he was accused of murder?
He was accused of crimes. We have no proof that he actually did any of them. We
Well, I
have
mean,
no proof.
it seems like the town did it not?
We don't know. We didn't stay long enough to find out. Because we were
His
in a
fate is
hurry.
not of my concern. Accomplishing the mission that I've been set on to get you safely to Orthanc is. You're concerned about this cobbler. Here's your chance. If you want to do something about the cobbler, this is the way you do it. Otherwise, forget the cobbler and let us be on our way to Orthanc.
Does everyone agree? And I kind of like look around at the group.
I find the politics of these hill peoples really grating at times.
But do you agree to this plan of sacrificing this man?
Yes. No, we're not sacrificing. He'll be fine. Tie him to a tree. He'll survive a day or two.
What I mean is once they collect him.
Well, you would think there's a judicial system in Tharbad. If you're
I
worried about
highly doubt
justice.
it.
I'm
Especially
sure,
because
I'm sure once he reveals that Orthel and myself are rangers and who his contact is in the city, he may be able to buy himself out of his death.
Yeah, there you go.
He was
as
going to
long
be.
as
He was going to
Can
be.
you all roll perception checks, please?
Oh. Where are the two? Mhm.
Is this a general perception check or for? Because I'm trying to figure if I'm at advantage or not for being in car.
No, just a general perception.
Holy-
Go.
That's all of us.
I think so, yes.
Yep, all of you. All right, Goldie.
Goldie's in
You
a
see
panic right
Anna.
now.
Anna, she has drawn her stiletto and she's making her way towards John leaving. And you can hear her mutter, "Enough of this nonsense. Just end it."
I'm gonna yell stop and try to tackle her.
Okay, make that athletics check.
If she
Stop tackling people.
if she yells stop, I will draw my sword.
All right.
Yell at these people though. Ooh, nice.
What?
Goldie is on
Oh,
fire
look
this
at
evening.
Ready.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Grabbing her by the knees.
Ah, yes. You have grappled Anna as she tries to advance on John leaping, and can you
I'm
describe
just
what this
sitting at
looks
her
like?
feet.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Just sitting at her feet. Just stop. We're trying to decide. I know you want to do fucking things, but stop it. Because we are, all these people don't trust your ass. So stop before you get murdered. Cut it out. Please.
So she's standing
Right
there with
there.
the stiletto in her hand, looking down at this hobbit. Oh, you're sitting on her?
I'm sitting on her feet. I'll like
Sitting
full
her
on
feet,
grab
okay.
both legs and just.
And so she's looking down and she's, "What the?" And she looks at the rest of you. You have spent the last day deciding what to do with this man. There was absolutely no relevance to our goal. It is a waste of time. He is a waste of time. The cobbler is a waste of time. Just kill him now and let us be on our way. You said it yourself. This man is dead. Already. Dead man walking right here. And John's like, what the fuck? Show some mercy and just put him out of his misery now. None of you have seemed to have the strength to do this. I will do it for you.
No. Let us just leave. And I will, because Johnny's still tied up, I will give him some water and like feed him some water, feed him some food, because I don't know if anybody fed him yet this morning.
Hell no.
Just like having him stay tied, like tuck him into like the lee of one of the standing stones so that you can't see him from the road or anything like that. And
The gag back in his mouth.
yes. And
Before
just say,
before you do that, he just looks at you and says, "Thank you. I won't forget the kindness of an elf."
I'm sorry I can't do more. Change your ways.
I saw you had one of them shiny apples. You would happen to have.
I give him an apple, and then as I'm like leaning in to like put him where he is, I will just whisper to him, "Get away if you can, and don't come back." And then I get up.
Okay.
Go away and never come back.
Yeah. I'm hoping he's smart enough to wait until we're like away from the hill before he attempts to escape. But I've seen that he's capable of breaking free of bonds at least once before. So
I don't think he's breaking free of a hog-tied Dunedain hold when he's been like that all night long and he has no blood flow left in his legs or his arms at the moment.
He's like jelly right now. But
Yeah.
I mean, I would give him a dagger, but I feel like that would be too obvious. I don't
Alright,
want
so
anyone to see.
One of your elvish daggers.
Yeah, pulling out my elvish dagger, and being like, "Here."
So Moosarker's going to look at you and say, "Well, are we going to trade for him, or are you going to let him go? Which is it?"
We're leaving him here, and we're going to make the trade, like you suggested. Let's go before Annie or her sister change their minds.
Fine. I'll walk over to him and I yank his boots off of him. I'll shake him upside down, make sure there's no coins or anything in them, and then I'm going to take them and throw them over the side of the hill, different directions.
Check for hidden daggers as well.
Oh, I don't care at this point. I mean,
as he's rolling down the hill, it's,
Oh, he threw the
oh no, the
boots,
boots,
right?
not him. I didn't
Yeah.
throw him. I just threw his boots.
Gotcha.
just in the boots. Okay.
Yeah, just throw the boots over the
Princess
side,
Bride.
different directions. You know, yeah.
But yes, he can.
Okay. Okay. Anna just looks down at you, Goldie, and says, "Do you mind?"
Put that thing away.
I'll sheathe my sword
She'll put the stiletto away.
and I'll take my bow off my back and say, "All right, let's go. We've wasted enough time here."
Indeed. Let's go.
We had to waste a little bit of it to get to the city at the correct time.
Are we going in as a group, or are we?
I think we should go in at least as 2 groups.
I think we should go in probably separately. I mean,
Wow.
as much as we can. Maybe the hobbits going together, the dwarf going by himself, and
Well, the
obviously
thing
since
is,
I
I
have to
don't
have the
think
sisters with me, me and the sisters going together.
I don't know how many times we can use this code phrase to get a discount. So that's my concern.
Oh, I'll stop and look. Go over to go over to John, take the gag out of his mouth. How much will we have to expect to pay as a toll to get into town?
And he looks you up and down and says, "For you, I don't know, a couple silvers. The hobbits, maybe a silver apiece. The dwarf, they'll ask 5 silver for him for sure. And the elf, 10, 10 for her for sure."
All right, just shove it back in his mouth.
I have to use the code phrase. Also, I'm going to hide the fact that I'm an elf. So,
Well, I mean, I got enough to get in, but I ain't got enough to get back out again. So
I don't
I
have
don't know what we're gonna do about that.
I think if we're just like a few groups, that we might be able to manage using the.
Okay, well maybe the hobbits and the dwarf go together, then me and the sisters go together. How about that?
And
I'm
then I
not.
go by myself.
If there's a passcode to get us in for free, I'm going with the elf.
Who's
It's
who's
not free, it's just a discount.
who's ever going to speak to the lady needs to be by themselves the whole time, and the rest of us need to just follow that person.
Gotcha. All right,
Yeah.
then I guess I'll go by myself.
All right, who goes first?
Might I add though, I don't have actual good charisma. So Goldie, I think Goldie has good charisma.
Goldie does have pretty good.
If someone with
Whatever.
good charisma wants to join me as my assistant,
I think you're muted there, Bandy.
Oh, oh.
The 2 hobbits will go with the elf.
okay. The hobbits go with the elf.
Anna and Orla are going with
Right.
Moonstalker. And where's Zurk fitting in this?
Yeah, where do you want to go, Zurich?
You keep in mind, anybody that goes in with the elf is going to be tied to her when she goes to speak to this lady, as well.
Yep.
So if she gets thrown in jail, you're going with her.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah.
So who are the groups so far?
It's me and the hobbits, and then Moonstalker and the sisters. Those
I'll
two
keep
groups.
an eye. I'll keep an eye on the sisters. Go with Moonstalker.
All right. I will say that morning, as part of my trying to look less elven, I am going to arrange my hair in such a way that even if my hood is taken off, my ears are covered. You know, like the hair kind of covers the ears. Because I feel like if I go in there with a hood, they're going to be like, take your hood off. And I'm like, oh, well, now I'm screwed.
Maybe
So,
maybe you can put your hair like 2 Danishes on either side of your head.
Do the Spock thing with
Princess
the
Leia.
headband.
Princess
yeah,
Leia.
yeah. I was thinking like a loose half ponytail, so like the hair is just kind of like covering the sides, so it's just like hidden in that way. And I
I'll
don't
grab
wear like
some mud.
elven armor.
I'll grab some mud and put it on you. You're too clean, man. You're too
Yeah,
clean.
too clean.
Sorry. Sorry.
Start throwing
Like,
stuff at her.
I know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, anyone who knows anything of you guys are wearing like elven stuff.
Except for
mhm,
me.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm not.
We've got
yeah.
clothes.
My clothes is very much like fine make clothing, and my bow definitely looks like an elven bow.
That's why he
Yeah.
said 10 silver for you.
Yeah. Well, he also
Maybe-
knows I'm an elf, so. But yeah,
Okay, so let's
I'll
go.
do my best.
Let's
All
go.
right.
Yep,
would it do us
So
good to leave some of our stuff here?
we're not
If
coming
You're
we're
not
back
going to be
here.
coming back this way.
Mm-mm.
All right.
Yeah, we're
I'll
not
take
coming
the
back
cloak
this way.
off and I'll put it in my bag at the bottom with all my trinkets and shit. I'll put the pan on.
all right. So you're going full on color mode. All right.
And I have some old, Gong farmer clothes that I'll put over top of try to hide some of the nicer armor that I managed to get from Rivendell.
And I'm sending Fandel to do his like overhead monitoring, Overwatch Fandel, and he just goes up high and is just kind of like
Caca.
vaguely following.
I also found the river. which means my clothes are probably stained and dirty as hell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Colorful, but dirty.
Yes. Colorful but dirty. And as you guys are making preparations, trying to hide all your stuff, you just see Anna and Orly just looking at you guys, just shaking their heads. Amateurs. You can just get that look on their face. Um, all right. As you approach Tharbad from the north, um, you see two towers guarding the approach to the bridge. You even at this distance, you can see that the towers are in great disrepair. The topmost levels are crumbling and unusable. As you drive in closer, you see the massive walls of Garth Torren. If you look at the handout, the map, that is the great fortress on the north bank of the Grey Flood. Um, Rising as if some errant giant rock, a piece of the misty mountains themselves, is hurled down into the plains below. Um, the condition of this ancient stronghold is even worse than the two bridge towers. Its stone has been extensively quarried over the years, and much of the castle has been reduced to rubble. As you reach the outskirts of town, the road runs on an ancient causeway packed of packed earth and stone to lift it slowly above the surrounding fens. Um, in places you see dark tunnels running beneath the causeway, and doesn't take much to imagination to think what may be lurking within those dark places beneath you. um, as you approach the outer walls of North Gate, you notice that Tharbad itself is surrounded by something like a curtain wall. It's referred to as on your map called the Ram. But today it is little more than a pile of earth and broken stone. Especially as you approach, it's just basically it's roughly maybe 20-foot high pile of dirt and stone, just kind of surrounding the north perimeter of the city. Despite that, you do see what looks to be a newish building, a new gatehouse, um, standing next to the entrance to the gates on the north side. And you see farmers and merchants kind of passing it through the gates, and you see a large number, a large contingent of what look to be soldiers or militia, milling about, checking everyone, looking into wagons, collecting fees, taxes. And who would like to approach first?
Well, we're following, so you guys go first.
Okay. Then I will approach. Is it the appropriate time between noon and 3?
It is. We'll say it is the appropriate time.
Okay. Then I will approach, and I'm assuming that this is the correct gate.
Yes, it is the only gate.
And
Okay.
and Goldie has the charisma.
Yes. Do you want to talk, Goldie, or you want? Because like I told everybody what the.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, hold on. I have a question about my stats real quick before
Hmm.
we continue. Anna, Anna question.
Hmm.
Um, so as a third level, I get words of guard and guiding, which I can take the help action or make a charisma check to aid an ally. What does that mean? Like, make a charisma check or take the help action.
Oh, is that
So
the
you would,
bonus action thing?
Yeah.
I think.
As a bonus action, I make a charisma check or take the help action.
yeah. So you can
In addition,
normally yeah, normally you have to take a full action for a help action.
And same
Um,
thing with like ability checks. You normally have
yeah,
to do it as an action. So this just allows you to do more because you can
yeah,
do checks as a bonus action and you can help people as a bonus action.
yeah.
I have that with wisdom or intelligence. I don't remember which one, but I have one like that as well.
so I could potentially help someone.
Mhm.
instead of doing the talking.
Help action gives advantage, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I'm just double checking my skills, if I'm doing persuading at any time, I only have a +1. So even with advantage, that's probably not
Yeah.
as good as the person who has a better
Okay.
modifier.
Okay.
Because I can give
I
you
guess.
rhymes of lore if you would like.
Okay. I was gonna say before we would get there, I would ask. Um, do we just go and ask for who we're looking for, or do we just
We're
march
getting
in?
in. We need
It's
to get in
supposed to
first.
be the guard on watch during this time is supposed to be somebody named Tom Brass.
Yeah, and you do see one of the soldier-like people kind of bossing around the others. Um, you assume that he is the watch captain or the watch lieutenant, actually.
Yes, the lieutenant's supposed to be Tom
Zurich
Brass.
will say to Moonstalker that they should go first, and if this password gets them in trouble, we need to have their back pretty fast.
I don't know.
I don't know
We're,
why I
we're
just got a very itchy suspicion that this password could backfire.
I don't know what we can do. How many armed
I don't know
guards
either.
are there at the gate? Do I see?
There are a dozen that you can see.
Yeah,
Are there any
maybe
up on, like on towers or walls or anything like that on top of
No, there's
that?
just a guard station just outside. There are no towers or whatever along the
I,
ramp.
I
It's
look
just
down.
power
I look
walls.
down at. I look down at the dwarves. Say, I don't think we're going to be able to rescue them
I've
if
just
it
got a
goes
bad
badly.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
No, I understand. I'm just saying. I don't think we should attack. This is not the right time for
Well,
that.
I just said cause to have their back, whether that means cause a distraction or something. But
Ah,
We
we
distraction.
need
we
we
can
need
pick
to
you up and throw you into the river. I mean, that would
keep
distract people. I think.
keep a keep an eye on this
There's a
execution of the
queue
password.
forming now to get through this gate, and there are people just kind of pushing you forward,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
and you find yourselves at the gate now, and you see this individual kind of not really doing much except telling the other soldiers, check that person there, check their cart. I don't like looking. Charge them an extra 5 copper. Um,
Oh grief.
and he comes up to you and says, merchants, strangers, travelers,
Travelers,
state your
yeah.
business.
Traveling through. Um,
Traveling.
and
Travelers,
I
then.
am I'm so short though, and I don't want to yell the password. I'm gonna look at Eucalia real quick and just
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
right, and
Say that Johnny sent us.
I I'll be as tall as I can, and I'll just say, "Whew, Johnny being sent us," and then get small.
He looks at you, and when you say that name, he says, Pardon. And he leans in close, leans down to get to your height. Says, can you say that one more time?
Johnny being sent us. We found them in trouble, and we helped them.
Oh, that little fucker. Why didn't you say so? Um, and he says, oh, how many of you are there? I see. I count four, 2 hobbits, a dwarf, and a woman.
Oh,
Technically, the dwarf is with the
dwarf.
other group.
Oh, okay. So 2 hobbits and a woman.
Yeah.
That's your traveling.
Hmm.
Say no more. Um, let these three through. And in fact, um, let let me be your guide. And he
Wow.
says,
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
um,
Jesus.
so Zurich, Moonstalker, you see Tom Brass, Watch Lieutenant, escorting the hobbits.
Which
And
means
the
you
elf.
can't
The
use the password.
Shit.
We were the
Hope you
more
got 5
expensive
silver,
person.
dwarf.
Yep.
So, uh, two of you approach now with the two sisters just kind of hanging back behind you. A regular old watchman kind of approaches you and says, "State your business."
Passing through.
Passing through. Party of 4.
Yes.
Dwarf amongst you. Is that a what weapon are you carrying there, Zurich?
Battle axe.
Yeah, so that's not something you can easily hide underneath a cloak.
Correct.
All right, there is an extra weapon tax, and for your bow there, sir. Um, so let's see, dwarf. That's 5, 6, 7, 10. For a lot of you, that'll be 18 silver.
Anna and Orla have to pitch something in. Come on.
Yeah,
I
they gotta
know
pay for
they got
themselves.
money.
I mean,
Zurich knows how many he has in his pouch, and it's not that.
Anna just pushes her way forward and drops 2 gold coins.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah, I knew. I was like,
She's a
she's
boss.
got the money.
And says, "They're with me." And the guard just looks at the gold coins. It's like,
Wow, gold.
gold. And he just takes a bite out. And he looks around quick and makes sure none of the other guards sees that he has gold coins. And he waves you through. And as you walk through the gate into the outer outer districts of the North Bank, Anna just says, "I'm keeping a tab. I expect you to repay me upon the completion of our mission."
I
Where
would
did you get
expect nothing less.
Where did you get that kind of money in the first place?
I work for a guy that's got a lot of money.
He just looks at you and says, "Do you think I would ever tell a dwarf where I hide my gold?"
Well, when I said where'd you get it, I didn't mean where on your person.
I will say this: you guys walk through the outer districts, and around you, you see farms that have been drained, the fens, to make it very fertile lands. You see orchards, sheep grazing, a lot of ruins amongst these outer districts. And then you get into the main area, and Tom Brass, he just won't shut up. He's giving you a guided tour of this place, how great this town is, um, how welcome you are to it, honored guests. And he's taking you straight to the Red Palace.
That's what I thought. Well, we needed to go there anyway.
And that's where
Um,
we'll end today.
The Red Palace.
yeah.
Sounds like
Yeah.
Game of
So by
Thrones.
the way, um, there is another set of gates to get in from the outer district into the city center of the North Bank. You guys will have to pay again. The Zurich and Moonstocker.
Yep.
All right. So, any questions or comments or anything you want to talk about before we sign off for today?
Kind sir, we